she got in there so soon. I don't know how she found it.
Did you send her like a direct link invite?
I just shared your channel.
Oh, okay. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Casual Aquatics. Today, or tonight, whatever it is for you, we have Emily from ADHD Aquatics with us as our special guest. If you guys would just give me a moment, I'm going to try to share out this stream, and if you guys would do the same thing, that would be much appreciated. Big ass Betta. Hello, everyone. Hello. Thank you very much for joining. As I just said, give me a minute, and we're going to share this out, try to get some more people in here, and then we will start asking all of our questions.
Yeah, I'm gonna share the link to everybody. Max, you're gonna have to sit still. You hear me, Max? You know that? Okay. Boom, boom.
Jimmy P, thank you for coming through, friend. I appreciate it. Ozzy's off fish. I made it, Shawn. Awesome, man. Thank you so very much. You don't know how much I appreciate the support, man. And I also appreciate your input and activeness in the group, man.
Copy. Yeah, my cousin and my niece, they said they're already watching.
Whoa, hello, hello.
She's probably gonna want to see Rockstar at the end. One of my Betta fishes.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. Got your bellies all full. While I'm trying to post this out, did anybody go Black Friday shopping? And if so, what did you end up getting?
I'm pulling up the chat right now, so I'll be able to see what you guys say. Live. All right. Okay, I see the chat. Okay. Perfect. Okay, Max, are you gonna be good for the stream? I went Black Friday shopping. I got a couple pairs of pants. We went to Express. We got like some clothes, and then me and my husband made a deal. If I go to the gun store with him before they closed, that I could go to Petco.
Yeah.
Or PetSmart, yeah. And we got 2 Oscar fish, so I can show you guys those at the end.
Are those your first big cichlids? I seen in your little well, in our promo for the short of, advertising, you were showing all kinds of tanks, but they all looked like rather small tanks. What's
Yeah.
Here I am.
I have one yellow lab left after the catastrophe. And then I recently got 5 blue acaras from my fishy friend Wayne. I ended up getting a really good deal on those because he has a connect. I think the guy breeds them, his friend. So they'll get relatively big. And then before those 2, I actually had starry nights. I have 2 starry nights. They're juveniles though, in the baby monster tank with the Oscars.
Oh, man, I want one so bad. I've been seeing them. I just done this fish room tour. It's a buddy of mine. Video will be out later next week. A little promo. But at any rate, I've heard they're really mean. Like, either they're gonna get along with just one more of their own type, or they're even gonna kill it. Like,
Yeah.
a mean, nasty fish.
I'm probably gonna have to separate them, but I want to breed them. I think I have a male and a female because I have a larger, darker one, and a lighter, well, she can get dark and she's smaller. So I'm hoping that that's a female and not just like some beta male. But they're hard to find. And when I saw them in my local fish store, I was like, I gotta get them. They might have to get moved out of the baby monster tank though. So
They're so pretty.
they're beautiful. I love them.
It's crazy that they're like so mean, but they're so majestic. Like, I don't know. I get lost looking at large cichlids, well, all fish, but yeah, big cichlids are my weakness.
Yeah, I can't wait until they have babies. I just hope I have a male and a female, and I hope that they want to pair up and that they like each other. It says, Emily, I just stubbed from Ozzy's Offish. Thank you.
Jimmy P said, nope, I'm broke.
Next, don't start biting.
Yeah, I spent like $700 that I didn't need to, but I ended up getting the new top fin Wi-Fi Pro 120 canister filter. I got sand. I got so much stuff or whatever, but I needed it and it was fun. Like, I only recently had went Black Friday shopping for the first time in like, I don't know, my whole life, probably 2-3 years ago, because usually I just give money to whoever I'm with, or, you know, a person, and like, here, get me this. I'm sleeping, but at any rate, getting in this hobby, I'm always trying to get a deal, so.
Yeah, you got to get the deals. Jimmy P's Aquarium said, if you blink while your eyes are closed, M bought some more fish. Move that a little closer. Yeah, that's funny. It's true. Someone was like, don't buy any more fish until you get your air system set up. And I was like, okay, like you make a good point, but also like I could just buy more fish. But I got the air system finished today. Done. Nice. How many bettas do you have? Says Shark Sing. Hi, Crown Tail Half Moon. I know I have at least 65. I think I have one in every tank in this room except for like 3 tanks. I don't have any betta fish in the swordtail tank, the heteranda formosa tank, the bumblebee platy tank, or the spare guppies and spare platies tank. But I have a bunch of betta fish out on the pool table in tubs because I'm building a betta rack for them.
S, thank you very much for stopping in. So I backed out, tried to share this in my Facebook group, and now somehow, like, I joined twice. Do you see 2 of me on the screen or just 1?
I see 2 of you on the screen.
And, oh, there it goes. Now is it just 1?
Not yet. There's might be a lag. Now it's just 1.
All right, cool. I'm not going to worry about sharing it out. I want to get to know you. I hope that more people join us. We have 10 people currently watching, and that's enough to start asking you these questions. I want to say thank you very much for taking a chance on Casual Aquatics and coming on to my stream. I want to thank everybody in the chat for showing up. It means a lot to me. It really does. So thank you very much. With that said, we're gonna start with the first intro question. Give me a second here. All right, so tell everybody what your name is, where you're from, how you came up with your channel name.
Okay. First, I want to say thanks for having me. You said thanks for coming up, but I mean, you you extended the invite, so thank you. I'm from Baltimore, Maryland. That's where I was born and raised. And then when I was 19, I moved away. You said where I'm from. Oh, my name. Whoops. My name's Emily. And how I came up with my channel name, it was just Lemelish, because I had a quilt making, I still have the quilt making business. I'm just not focusing on it right now. And that, my LLC and like my business name is called Lemelish. But I feel like it's hard for people to say, or like when they read it, they don't know how to say it, because they want to say like lemon-ish or lemole or lemole, or because if you Google lemole, like nothing pops up. I'm like the only lemole. So
that's neat though.
Yeah, that's why my YouTube channel is youtube.com/lemelish. That's the name of my business. But I was like, what should I call it? And I don't know, I was kind of just thinking, what about ADHD Aquatics? Because I don't really like video editing, and I'm kind of random and forgetful, and I have a bunch of crazy stuff going on all at once. And I was like, I should just really use part of who I am, or like my personality, to like play into the channel, and not try and like change really too much like who I am to fit YouTube's. Like, right. I don't know. So I was just like ADHD.
I'm not gonna lie. Firstly, I was ADHD growing up. They say you never really grow out of it. You just learn how to control it. But I found it really cool that it was just random and it worked. So that's cool. Secondly, yeah. I was one of those people trying to pronounce your name, and I could not for the life of me, which I get that too. My last name is Wisnasky, but to look at it in spelling, you would just like, it messes with your eyes. So, yeah.
I asked a bunch of people, like I'm in a bunch of ADHD support groups on Facebook, and like I have friends that have ADHD. So I asked them, I was like, do you think this is offensive? And everyone was like, no, like if you have ADHD, I have ADHD, I'm not offended. So I was like, whatever. I mean, I'm diagnosed. The people that are diagnosed with ADHD, most of them said they're not offended. So I was like, I mean, I don't mean it in a bad way. I'm embracing it as like a lifestyle, I guess. I don't know.
And it works perfect for this hobby, really. I mean, ADHD, you got all this extra energy. What am I doing? What's next? Well, if you have a whole bunch of fish tanks, you can literally like switch. You know, I'm looking at this tank, then I'm looking at these fish, then I'm looking at it works. That's what I mean. So I applaud you for the creativity of your name and stuff. That's awesome.
It might be the perfect hobby for someone with, like, I think I have the hyperactive. There's like a bunch of different types of ADHD. I'm like a mix of all 3 or 4 of them. But if you have like the hyperactive, like attention span type ADHD, I think fish tanks could help you, because especially if you get fish that move fast, like guppies.
Right.
Not so much like angelfish. You might get really bored, but like it's easy to get lost looking at a fish tank for a couple hours.
T-Bone's already trying to ask a question. It's right there on the screen. I don't know if you can see it. How many tanks do you own, and what is your favorite fish? T-Bone, you're going to be cutting into my questions, but we'll let you go ahead and answer it. That's what I love. People in the group or comments asking questions too.
So I think I counted and tallied them up, and I had 65 at one point. I think I can fit 60 in this room. The way I have the shelves configured, like certain amount of 20 gallons on one shelf, certain amount of 10 gallons on the other shelf. I think I can fit 60 on these shelves the way I want to configure them. And then that leaves like the 150 and the 75 and like a couple other random ones. But I bought a bunch of extra tanks, like what was it, a week ago, when Petco had the $1 per gallon, 50% off, whatever.
Yeah.
So that I could drill some more, knowing that I was going to crack some. So when you say how many tanks do you own, it's kind of hard to answer, because I have like maybe 30 of them out in the carport that are cracked. But even once I repair them, they're not going to fit in here. So I might repair them and then try and like sell them like as like a kit, like complete kit or like beginner fish kit or something. I don't know. I might come up with something like once I breed betta fish and have like a bunch of babies, I'd sell like a betta fish with the tank or whatever. I have a bunch of ideas. My favorite fish, I don't know. It's a very hard question to answer, but I've always just loved plecos, specifically the common pleco, like the one that gets like 2 feet long. That's the whole reason why I got the 150 gallon was because my plecos, I had 2 common plecos in my 75 and they're starting to compete for space. They're getting too big. They were fighting and stuff. So I was like, well, we need a bigger tank for the pleco. And then I just went off the rails and built a fish room. Like I got done the 150 gallon and I was like, okay, now I need a fish room. So I would say the pleco basically started all of this.
Yeah. All right. Well, that kind of leads to my first question. What first piqued your interest in this hobby?
It would be, I would say guppies, but I don't know because like my dad would be able to tell you more about this because I was younger and I don't have a good memory of my childhood at all. But I must have been about 14 or 13, like right between middle school and high school age. And I had a really small bedroom, like you could hardly walk around my bed, but we got a fish tank and we filled it with guppies and mollies and platies. I didn't know anything about fish, but of course the lady at the store was like, yeah, you can keep all these fish together. And we just got a bunch of them. Of course they all died because the tank wasn't cycled at all. I mean, I had no idea. I was crying. I didn't understand. I was like, oh my God, all my fish are dying. So I think we bought more fish and then they died again. And then I was crying again. So we ended up just grabbing some random tadpoles we found somewhere. And we had a tank of tadpoles. I killed all those by feeding them lightning bugs and then kind of gave up one fish. So I didn't get back into fish again until I bought this house in 2016. And I set up that 75 gallon in the kitchen. And my first thought was guppies again. So I don't know if it was that I loved guppies or it just was like convenient or it's just what I was familiar with, but and watching fish tubers like Corey from Aquarium Co-op when he first started and Dustin's Fish Tanks and Joey King of DIY, like back when their channels were new, like 5-6 years ago, I used to just watch them. So that really got me into it more as like an adult. But I don't know if it was like guppies or anything specific, just the idea of having a fish tank.
Right. With me, I always had fish tanks growing up. Like my parents had kept fish. They weren't like major enthusiasts, but you know, the whole fair fish, we'd throw it in a 55 and you know, few little odd fish here and there. And at that point in time, you know, you don't realize all the work that goes into it. You just get to feed them and look at them and enjoy them, you know, as a kid. Recently, though, like as an adult on my own, I only have been keeping fish myself for like 3 years now. I've finally been able to, you know, have a place that I can have tanks because a lot of places your landlord ain't gonna have it or the structure itself is not gonna hold the amount of tanks that you want to have. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Um,
That's
ironically,
awesome though. That's good.
uh,
Crown Tail Half Moon says, Lemo, how's progress on brine shrimp? Saw you got a colony from the Utah sand. Water in the sink. That's incredible. Yeah. I forgot that was even sitting in the sink. And I was just cleaning up. I cleaned the whole basement. I'm like super proud of myself. I did it all in one day. And I was like, all right, time to clean the sink out. And I was like, what is this? And I opened it and there was like 30 adult brine shrimp and billions of babies. And I was just over the moon.
right.
They're doing good. They're still alive. None of them have died yet. I separated them into like 5 different jars on the windowsill, kept some in the sink and put some in a 10 gallon right here. and I haven't noticed like a crash yet. So
the next question is, and you kind of answered it, I guess, but how long have you been keeping cichlids or tropical fish?
cichlids, less than like 6 months. Because I've never liked cichlids, to be honest. I always thought, well, same thing with Betta Fish. So like, if you're a cichlid person, don't get offended, because I said that about the Betta Fish. I'm like, why would people want to keep a Betta Fish? They're so like boring. They're not even that pretty. And I got one. I started looking at them and I was like, hold up, they're actually pretty cool. Same thing with cichlids. I'm like, oh, they're ugly. But then there's some of them I actually really like. I just thought that they were ugly, big, ugly fish that were just aggressive. And I was like, well, I can never keep them with the guppies, so they're useless. But then I started watching them more, and I was like, okay, maybe some cichlids are okay. So cichlids, like less than 6 months. Tropical fish, I don't really consider the time when I was a teenager. We'll just say from 2016 to now. So what is that, 5 years?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, we'll say 5 years, tropical fish.
I put this up here. Steven's like asking a question tied into one of my other questions.
Oh, I see it.
But go ahead and answer that if you would like.
Stephen P says, Lem, does your husband partake in the fish hobby or just puts up with the fish tanks taking over the house? Okay, so at first it was an adjustment period because I kind of went insane. Like, it was just, hey, let's get a bigger tank for the one big fish. And then it was like hundreds of dollars and of just fish stuff was just happening all over. Like, we have a pool table in the basement that we can't use right now because I have a bunch of Betta fish on it. And I moved all of the stuff out of this room into the garage because this was our storage room. I had like storage boxes and shelves in here and stuff. So we both are parking outside right now. So at first he was really, really like, not like bitter, but kind of just like, wow, okay, we're the fish family now. So like, he would watch the fish. And now that we kind of like slowed down and he sees the vision, and I talked about my business plan, and like, he understands how much it means to me, like as far as just being a hobbyist, he loosened up a little bit, and he's like, okay, I believe in you. Like, we're gonna get the pool table cleared off eventually. It's fine, not a big deal. And he even started talking to his coworkers, and like, they were like, hey, I have a fish tank. Your wife likes fish tanks, right? So he's bringing home fish tanks and stuff now, like from his friends at work. And what really, I think the tipping point for him that kind of like got him into it, like more than just whatever, my wife likes fish, so I'm going to support her. What kind of tipped him on the scale of being like, okay, fish are cool, was the datnoid.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
oh God, I get to get one.
Yeah, they're awesome. They're so cute too. But we had a really, really, really bad day. Somebody, somehow his tools, he's an HVAC guy, all his tools got stolen. And it was like $8,000 worth of tools, his personal tools that he's accumulated for like 8 years. They all got stolen. So we were both pretty upset. Like, I left work to go and try and like help. I don't know what I thought I was going to do, but I went down to the city to where he works just so I could like help him. And they were like, no, it's fine. We don't need your help. So I was down in the city and I was upset, and I was near my favorite fish store, and there was a datnoid in there that has been in there for like 6 months. And I was like, you know what? It's time. We're going to get him. Because at first we were like, we're not going to get him because we have guppies. But when I brought him home, Zach's face just lit up. And I think watching him and feeding him krill and like live feeding him guppies, it was more of like a masculine experience than just like little guppies.
Right.
I think that's what got him more into it. And especially the pacu and like all the baby monsters. He doesn't do water changes. I've taught him how to do water changes just in case I ever have to go out of town for work. But
that was going to be my part of the question. What part of like the work and effort does he do with it, or is it your hobby but he just supports it and he's slowly starting to endeavor in it, like it's him going, ooh, I like that fish, or
Yeah.
ooh, I want that.
He ran all the electrical for me. He did all the plumbing for the 150 gallons. So like when I'm doing stuff and I need his help, he'll help me like build stuff or whatever. But if it's like scrubbing tanks, cleaning tanks, moving fish, like he didn't even like to touch the water at first. If you watch the brine shrimp, the Great Salt Lake brine shrimp video, he did not even want to touch the water. He just doesn't want to touch the water. But recently he's been getting more into it. Like one time he came down here to swap the laundry and he just fed the datnoid. He just like got the krill out and just fed him. Like I didn't even ask him to. And he was like, well, I went in there to look at him and he looked kind of hungry. So he's taken a little bit more liking to the fish. I don't know how far that's going to go, but it warms my heart just to see him get excited about stuff
Yeah,
that makes me excited.
that's my old lady. Like she's never been really like into it. She supports me as long as I'm not cutting into the rent money, you know what I'm saying? Then
Right.
she's okay, but she never was really like, I don't know, into it. But she always said, well, I like axolotls. I think those are cool. And I got some
God, I gotta get one
axolotls,
of those.
and that kind of like made her dive into it. And then I took her to a big pet store, or local fish store that has a bunch of tanks. Hundreds. And just to have her look around, and you could see it, her like her eyes getting bigger, whatever, at certain fish. And then she picked out a blood parrot and named him Ravioli, and like that kind of got her warmed up. And she'll do water changes with me, but she does not like to, and I hear about it. So
Yeah,
try not being, drag, because I don't want to take the fun away from it, for her, whatever. The fact that she at least enjoys it, just kind of looking at the tanks as I'm doing whatever I'm doing, that's enough for me. But
yeah. I want to point out something that Stephen P said, or no, who said it? Yeah, Stephen P said, "Happy wife, happy life." I'm
uh,
gonna counter that with happy spouse, happy house. Because
yeah, there you
if
go.
if Zach isn't happy, like I'm down here trying to solve a mystery. Like what's wrong? Like why isn't he? What's wrong with him? So I think we both need to be happy. You gotta make deals and have compromise and stuff. So I
Right.
said, I asked him, I said, are you sure if I can keep all the fish stuff in one room, you're okay with it? And he was like, yep, put it all in one room. I said, okay. So we made a deal. I'm trying to stick to it. I mean, it's going to be kind of hard to fit the 150 gallon in here.
Oh. What is your favorite part of fish keeping?
Um,
You
babies,
don't have to
baby
narrow.
fish.
Go ahead. Sorry, I was just gonna say it doesn't have to be narrowed to one particular thing, but generally.
Just the idea there's two aspects of it. One, that we can reproduce fish here. It's not like breeding cats or dogs where it like takes up your whole house. You can do it inside of a glass box and it's like a science experiment. So breeding them and having babies and like the challenge that certain species offer, like there's so much variety and I need a lot of variety. I need the stimulation like for my ADHD. And then the other aspect would be that it's an ecosystem. Like today I saw some tubifex worms and like other weird little critters like just squirming around in this tank from some old substrate I had in a bucket for like 4 months. And like that just blows my skirt up, dude. Like it's a whole ecosystem in there. Like
Right. Um, I just would have to concede what you said and maybe add like, and you pretty much worded that, but I like the reward of that you put in the time and effort to try to make that as natural and safe, or just what they need, as much of nature as you can, and then like not even trying, your fish decide to breed and have babies, and like you done that. If the parameters and everything was not correct, those fish would not be trying to breed, and
Right.
you gave them plenty of hides and so on and so forth. So pretty much you just said that, but that's my little tidbit with that.
Yeah, it is satisfying. You're right. Shark Thing said, did somebody here say axolotls? Because I've been obsessed with them recently.
Oh yes, I got two. I got an albino, his name is Ouija, and then I got a brown, like spotted. I don't even know what kind exactly he is, but his name's Buddy, because Ouija needed a buddy, so you know. Do
My
you have
husband
a
said
lot
he's always losing at deals.
of right?
Maybe I should get an axolotl. You'd have to go on like a bottom shelf because you have to keep their water like real cold, right?
Yeah, like 50 to 69 degrees. You don't even put a heater in it or nothing.
Well, either my husband's gonna have to figure out how to build some sort of chiller, or I'm gonna have to buy one of those aquarium chillers, or we have to keep it in a different room because I plan on heating this room to like 78 degrees or 80 degrees so I don't have to run heaters in the tanks.
Right, and that's very smart too.
Yeah.
So I heard you mention a few names, and I'm sure they might come up on this next question, but maybe not. Over the years in the hobby, who did you look up to?
Yeah, so Dustin from Dustin's Fish Tanks, Joey King of DIY, Corey from Aquarium Co-op, Master Fish Breeder Dean. I feel like I'm forgetting some. My husband will name them in the chat probably. Yeah, it was just those. That's who I watched religiously on YouTube. I would watch all their videos. I don't know who else. I
No,
feel like I'm forgetting somebody. I'm probably forgetting someone important, and like I'm gonna feel stupid later. But
I bet I know who it is that you're forgetting, because
who?
that's the same as me. I watched Corey. I dove hard for that man, like into every one of his videos from like back when he first started all the way to catch up, then became a member. And then Joey, he's just a god at
Yeah.
doing dye projects. So you got to find his channel if you get into this hobby. And then KG Tropicals, John and Lisa. I don't know if you watched them, if that might have been one.
Oh
Maybe.
yeah, I watched them, but not like 5 years ago. I didn't used to watch them. Aqua Malik, yeah. Prime Time, yeah. I watch them now, but like 5 years ago, basically whoever was like popular 5 years ago is like those were my inspirations like in the beginning. Now it's the newer ones like Aqua Malik and stuff.
Right. Dan's fish is awesome, Steven. I ordered some fish from him.
Oh yeah, Dan's Fish. There's so many. Like The Secret History Living in Your Aquarium, Alexander Williamson. There's so many. I feel like if I don't list off like 50 YouTubers right now, I'm gonna offend somebody. But if I subscribe to you and I chat with you, you're basically one of my inspirations. Because I take pieces of everyone's fish room and I'm like, okay, yeah, I like that idea, and I put it into my own words basically.
I mean, the question could be broadened. I meant just more directly, like those bigger names, and
Oh yeah, yeah.
it didn't even have to be a YouTuber. Like I've had people come up on here and say their grandfather was their inspiration. He knew everything there was, and that's awesome. That's cool. So, like, it didn't even have to be a YouTuber. Obviously, a lot of us that get into it get
If you
on
want to
YouTube.
go, if you want to go that route, then I would say the Baltimore Aquarium because that's our national aquarium. And when I was a kid, my dad will tell you I wanted to be a marine biologist, and I don't even really like saltwater fish that much now yet. But when I was a kid, I just things that live in water fascinated me. I I don't know why. Like, especially like the deep dive, like on Discovery Channel, on Animal Planet, where they would get in like the little submarine and like deep dive down to like the bottom of the ocean and see like the angler fish and all those like bioluminescent fish and stuff. That was a big inspiration too. Like, just as far as me being into like aquatic life.
Hey, was that you who sent the hug? She brought it all the way into the computer room for me?
Yeah, Jimmy P.
It was me. Mystery Guardian Snails asks, do you keep snails or do you have snails?
Oh yes. So besides plecos, snails are my favorite, and then after that is probably shrimp, and then after that is fish. So I'm really into like catfish and then the invertebrates. So I love mystery snails. I love watching them lay their eggs and do their little antennas and like all they're nuts. Mystery snails are insane. They're incredibly fascinating to watch, and they're surprisingly fast for a snail.
Right.
I ended up getting a Ramshorn snail on, it was hitchhiking on the back of a mystery snail I bought from PetSmart 5 years ago, and she was like, "Oh, that's a pest snail," and I was like, "Well, can I have it?" And she was like, "Yeah," and I was like, "How much is it?" She said, "I'll give it to you for free," and I was like, "Okay," and I put them in a hang-on breeder box and bred them, and I let them infest my whole tank. I like would overfeed my tank purposefully just to get the snails to explode, and I was doing like huge water changes because I loved them. And now I want to have a different color snail, like a different type of snail in each tank. So like I want to have like brown ram's horns, pink ram's horns, like brown pond snails, trumpet snails. Like I want to have a different one in each tank. I love snails.
Yeah, I don't know, I tend to break the rules, not necessarily intentional, but I keep snails in all of my tanks. And with that said, all of my tanks almost primarily have cichlids. And people are like, you can't do that. But like I got healthy snails, not snails that are being like picked on and tortured or picked on till they die. Like healthy snails just gliding around my tanks and
Whatever
somehow
you want, man. Like I have a couple plants in my monster fish tank right now, and it's dirted substrate with an undergravel filter. And there's like Oscars and stuff in it. Like obviously they're gonna destroy the plants later, and I probably should run a bare bottom tank with all those Oscars or with all those monster fish. But like I don't really want to right now. I don't feel like taking all the substrate out. So, well, I mean, if they destroy it, they destroy it. I'll just keep doing my water changes, and as long as they look healthy, whatever. Do whatever you want to do. Who cares what you're supposed to do?
I mean, I believe in being right by, you know, your fish and tank size and stuff. I'm just saying, like, I am not going to put mystery snails in with my Oscars and Jaguars, and no, I'm not going to do that. But my
Yeah,
juvenile cichlids and imbunas and, you know, I got some mystery snails in there, you know?
yeah. As long as the snails aren't getting hurt and the fish aren't getting hurt and everyone's happy and healthy, like who's to say it can't work out? Maybe your tank is different than everyone else's. Maybe it just works out for you. Like, I don't know.
Mystery Guardian Snails in the chat, though, might have something to say about it. She's going to be hitting me up, giving me the third degree. No, she's seen my video on it, so I'm sure she would have spoke up then for sure.
Yeah.
Jimmy P says, I have snails and snails and snails, all different kinds. They must come in with a few plants I bought. Man, that's what happens too, especially those little, you would call them pest snails, but I don't mind them. You know, you can't have too many because then, therefore, I will feed like ram's horn abundance to my larger fish or my loaches or whatever. So, I mean, they're all part of the ecosystem, as you said earlier.
Yep. The only thing you have to be careful. So there's like two things with snails. One, they could carry a parasite because a lot of snails are a part of a parasitic cycle. Like it'll go into a shrimp or a snail and then into the fish, and then the fish poops it out, and then the snail and shrimps eat it. So like when you get new snails, just leave them in their own tank for like 4 weeks, and then that will basically end whatever parasite like life cycle. And then the second thing with snails is if you don't want a huge population of snails, you can literally just stop feeding food. But people that want to breed fish have to feed heavy, so it's a good indicator of tank health. If you have a bunch of snails, it shows, okay, maybe you don't need to feed so much. If you don't have a lot of snails, you might have to feed a little bit more, like especially if you're noticing like skinny fish. I think it's a good indicator of tank health.
Yeah.
Unless you're trying to breed snails, you shouldn't have a tank that's overrun with snails to the point where you need to be doing huge water changes just because your snails are out of control. But those are the only two things with snails that people complain about that makes them a pest, other than, oh, I don't like the way they look on the glass. Like, okay, I'll give you that one. But the other two reasons are kind of like, okay, well, there's solutions to that. So
Right. No, I dig them. Shark Sing, Limol, are you gonna stop collecting at some point?
I don't think you ever stop collecting fish because there's like a bajillion different types. And like there's also fish that are endangered or like extinct in the wild that a lot of hobbyists are trying to just keep alive in their own personal fish rooms, just in case there's some sort of reintroduction effort. Like let's say there's an extinct fish and I happen to have a tank full of them in my fish room. Well, maybe in 10 years, whatever organization wants to step up and say, hey, we're going to try and reintroduce this fish. Are there any fish hobbyists that still have this species? And then like 30 of us step up and say, hey, I have that fish in my fish room. And so you're constantly on the lookout for cool and exciting stuff like that, because that's not just, oh, I have a purple guppy. That's like something bigger than yourself. I don't think you ever stop collecting. There's always something new to get into.
Right.
I don't intend to stop collecting, but I know a lot of people fall out of the hobby and get back in or just fall out for whatever reason. But I don't intend to stop collecting like new fish.
No. As long as I can properly home it, I think I'm gonna be in this hobby for the long haul. So yeah, just to have that experience. And as you said about recreating a population, that's like axolotls, they're almost sparse and few and in between in the wild, but the hobby itself has made them be, populated in numbers or whatever.
Right.
So
that's a good point. Mystery Snail Guardian said snails can carry contaminated water in their shells. So even if the snail itself can't get a disease, they can infect fish by releasing the contaminated water into the tank. That makes sense. So like the snail could have some sort of bacteria or something like in its shell water. So yeah, it makes sense to like quarantine them. That's a good point. I never thought about that. I actually didn't even know that. I knew about the parasite thing, but that's smart.
She's a really smart woman when it comes to snails and stuff like that. She has her own groups, and she's a member of my Casual Aquatics group on Facebook. She's a really cool woman.
Yeah, I like that. I love learning stuff. Thank you.
If you could change one thing in the hobby, what would it be and why?
Okay, one thing in the hobby. Okay, it's technically two things, but I think they go together. It would be a cultural or like an attitude shift. So especially in like Facebook groups, when people think there's only one correct way to do it, and they feel the need to push that onto other people. And that's not just for fish keeping. Those type of people are like that across their whole lives. But I just wish that we would see less of it in fish keeping, because just as there's so much variety in species of fish and colors of fish, there's probably 5,000 different ways you can set up a fish tank for one species of fish. And there's probably like 5 or 6 different ways you could treat the same illness for fish and be less or more effective. There's not one way to do it. And I wish people could just voice the way they think they would want to do it and leave it open-ended, not like end all be all and be so rude about it. I just wish there was more love and acceptance in the hobby. And the other part of that is people, I wish some people like on the receiving end of that type of attitude would be more open. So
yeah.
like more open to alternatives. So like some people I don't run filters on these tanks right now, but like some people say they're like vehement about filtration. Like you have to have a filter, you have to have this, you have to filter your water 30,000 times a minute, and it needs to be this and this. And it's like, you don't have to, but like you can.
It depends on bioload and what like plants you got going on. And yeah, I absolutely agree. Fish police are the worst. That's what made me actually create my group, because I got slammed for my start in the hobby, and I was way wrong. I had a featherfin catfish, a GSP, and a blood parrot in the same 10-gallon tank. Believe you me, I was doing wrong, but I did not know. And I was just happy to show my tank in one of these dang groups that I joined. 200 comments, and maybe 5 of them was, hey, this fish needs this many gallons, and this fish needs. The rest of them, you can only imagine what those comments were saying. So I absolutely agree.
If you go back into my older videos, you can see I tried to keep multiple male betta fish in my 150-gallon. I think it could have been successful if I had slightly less betta fish and more plants, because believe it or not, the only issue I had was the molly fish were nipping the betta fish, but I never once saw the betta fish fighting. And I think it's because the tank was big enough. And that is like super controversial. People will like write you a death threat if you tell them you had more than one betta fish in a tank together. Like, okay, like I get it. I mean, my 150 gallons not set up like that anymore, and there were a lot of mistakes made, but like, we don't have to be mean to each other, you guys. We can just, I was new to betta fish. We can just educate and move on.
As you said, you got, like, I have a post in my group pinned on this very subject, and it, like, within itself being typed out almost sounds contradicting, but it's not meant to. Like, it says, it's come to my knowledge that some people feel that they're being attacked, and I'm paraphrasing, I don't know exactly how it's worded, but, something along the lines that we got to be open-minded when asking for advice, because 9 times out of 10, the answer you get, you're not going to want to hear. And it's probably the right answer.
That one's a hard one for me. It's not that I want to hear it. It's that sometimes my brain works differently because of the ADHD, and I literally cannot visualize certain things. Like someone was trying to give me an idea for my air manifold. They were like, you should do it like this. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't understand what you're talking about. So I'm not even going to pay attention. This is how I'm doing it. But it wasn't because I didn't want a new idea. It's just because I couldn't visualize what he was saying, because it was through like a YouTube comment. So it's like, I can kind of get that way too.
And then, like, I also put, though, in those given the advice, though, try to remember when you first got in the hobby, when you first had that one fish that actually meant something to you die. That little heartbreak, or, I mean, I don't know about y'all, but I bond with my fish. Like, not every individual fish, but there's a handful that, like, that's my dude, and, like, it would really hurt if I lost them. So, like, I say try to remember that, for those of us trying to give advice, you gotta meet in the middle, and it's a whole lot of give and take, but how you word it to somebody can be the difference, so like
Yeah.
you can completely make them want to just like, okay, screw this hobby, or you can make them understand and be like, okay, I want to do better for my fish,
Yeah.
um,
So
that's
just
that.
overall, if I could change something in the hobby, it would be more openness and more acceptance, basically.
Me, I would change like it would almost be a law by, I don't know who oversees like pet stores. I don't know if it's PETA or who it is, but like it'd be a law that they have to draw a picture of the cichlids on the tank. Like this Oscar gets 15 inches potentially. Do not put it in your 10-gallon tank, like
Yeah.
so many stores that really just try to make a sell, and they do not educate their customers. And I get it. Sometimes the customers don't want to hear it, but if it was my store, they would hear it or not buy my fish. And that's my option. You could say it's my loss, but I'd rather them know than take this fish home and go put it in a 55-gallon and think it can live there its whole life. That's how I got my Oscars. I rescued them. A guy kept them in a 55-gallon for 5 years. They're
Wow.
stunted. They're not going to get any bigger. But somehow Tramp got 10 inches and Lady got 9 inches in that 55-gallon. But they're in a 135, but they won't get their full potential. So
Yeah.
wish they showed pictures or wrote fish full sizes on the glass of the tanks in pet stores. I think that'd be the coolest thing ever. You would see the fish and like, oh, that's cool, but whoa, look at this. And then maybe it would at least make you pull out your phone and Google tank requirements or
Oh yeah.
like
I
that.
do that. I do that in the fish store. But speaking of Oscars and misinformation, when we went to PetSmart on Black Friday to get these Oscars, like in my head, I already knew I wanted like 4 or 5 because I know I want like an albino, a tiger. I eventually want to get a bumblebee, a lemon, whatever the blue one is called. I don't even know if those actually exist or if that was like Photoshop, but I did all this research, like, can you keep Oscars together? Like, how should you set up the tank? I have a whole playlist on my YouTube about Oscar fish because I'm new to cichlids and I know they can be aggressive. We went to go buy these Oscar fish and I was like, okay, I want 2 up there in the tank. They were like a little bit larger. And I was like, okay, and these 2 here are smaller. And Zach was like, are you sure? Like that, like, don't they get big and aren't they aggressive? And I was like, well, yeah, they will, but we're going to build that pond, so it'll be okay. And they're not really aggressive if you keep them like with each other like that. And there's like a bunch that goes into it. It's not just like, oh, they're aggressive, like how betta fish are. It's like each individual fish is different. Same thing with betta fish. But the lady at the store, so me and my husband made a deal. So instead of getting the 4 I wanted, we got 2 littler ones, which that was the deal. It gives us more time to build the pond next year. So I told the lady, like, hey, we want these 2 Oscar fishes. I want this really dark one, and I want this like perfect albino that doesn't have like any black on its fins at all. There was like one in the tank that was like all white and like the orange color. And she's like, do you have 2 separate tanks to put them in? Like, well, I have 65 tanks, but I plan on putting both of these in the 150-gallon with the other baby monster fish. I have a datnoid, a pacu, a pleco, like a Colombian shark. And she just had no idea what I was talking about. Like, she doesn't know what a datnoid is. She doesn't know what a pacu is.
Right.
And I was like, and I'm like, it'll be fine. Like, I feel like if someone tells you they have that many tanks and they're naming off fish you've never heard of before, they probably know enough that they should be allowed to buy 2 baby Oscar fish. But that's besides the point. She said, well, they can't be kept together. They're very aggressive and they need to go in separate tanks. I said, okay, well, I want to put them in this 150-gallon. If they start fighting, then I'll put one of them in the 75-gallon. But I plan on building a big pond for them. It should be fine. With enough space, they should be fine. She's like, you can't. And I was like, okay, well, then I'll put them in 2 separate tanks then. She's like, okay, are you sure you're prepared to put them in 2 separate tanks? And I'm like, yes, I have a lot of fish tanks. I'm fully prepared. She's like, well, you know, they can live to be 20 years old. I'm like, yeah, so can my datnoid and my pacu. My pacu can get 3 feet long. Like, I'm ready, bro. So, but Zach was getting anxious because she's like, they're gonna kill each other basically, and he's like, are you sure we should be getting these fish, dude? Like, that seems like a lot. Like, she was scaring him, and I was trying to tell him, like, calm down, like, she doesn't really know what she's talking about exactly. Like, yes, she's kind of correct, but kind of not.
Well, but like the knowledge is not there. Don't get me wrong, Oscars can kill one another. Some do not get along with another one, but at the same time, you want to keep them with their own kind or other large equal.
Yeah, fish that will be the same size as them. Yeah, and peaceful. Yeah, and obviously they could still be aggressive with each other, and I might have to separate them. I might have to, and that's fine. But I was trying to calm him down and convince her to sell me the fish because I already fell in love with these 2 specific fish. So that was nuts. But when you Google it, like, can you keep Oscars together, you'll get a bunch of results that say that they should be kept in groups, like 3 to 5.
Right.
I mean, that's what it says.
I think the introduction of new ones, though, like, so, I don't know, getting them together is a good thing because I tried to put my Oscar's baby back in the tank with them, and that did not go well whatsoever. I had to hurry up and scoop him out. Like, they weren't having it. But my Oscars are with a red devil, a flower horn, a convict, a redhead cichlid, a featherfin catfish, a bichir. Like, they're with other fish and cichlids, but they did not do cool with their own kin. Now, could I throw a whole different other Oscar? Probably not, because they're a mated pair. But if you have like 2 males or 2 females and you throw that odd male or that odd female or whatever, I mean, I'm sure it can work. I just think people just need to be prepared, you know, just in case. But yeah, it sounds like she meant well in a sense, but she just didn't really have, like, you know, that real knowledge about that.
She knew enough to know that she shouldn't sell Oscars to like a beginner fish keeper, but I feel like she didn't know enough to understand my level of fish keeping to where she could have just ended the conversation at a certain point and been like, oh, you're good. Like, obviously, you know what you're doing. Like, you're very invested in your fish keeping. So I was told not to put a bichir or a bichir in a tank with an Oscar in one of the fish tank groups. I actually got muted because I started some argument and was called like a bully. They said that even though a bichir would be long and big, like 12 inches, that the Oscar could still bite it and like suck it down like a noodle. And they were like shaming me for saying like, hey, I want an arowana and I want a bichir in with my datnoid and Oscar fish. And they were like, absolutely not. The Oscars are going to grow too big. They're going to eat your datnoid instantly because they're just going to be too big, too fast. They're going to eat the bichir.
Okay, so like I have sorry, I'm walking around my house. It's not the prettiest. That's why I got the whole cam muted. But like my bichir that I put in with my Oscars is about 1.5 feet. I also have a little he's probably about 4 or 5 inches, a Senegal bichir, the albino ones. I would not put that in my Oscar tank right now. And they only get about, I think, 8 or 10 inches, and they can get kind of chunky, but I still don't know if I would put that kind in. Now, if you get a Delhi, an English,
if you're gonna do it, you should have a bichir that gets thick. And I googled it. There's a couple of species. I think there's one called a saddled, not the ornate one. There was like 2 or 3 different species that someone recommended to me. They'll get big enough to where like an Oscar would not attempt it, basically. So
Okay, next question for you.
Okay.
Anyways, what advice would you give somebody new getting into the hobby?
Um, don't beat yourself up too hard when you kill a fish. And yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's actually pretty good. Mine would be research, research, research. Do your research. Everybody in this day and age has a cell phone on them.
Yeah.
How hard is it when you go into a pet store, you see a fish, Google that fish rather to just see other pictures of it or when it's going to be bigger. But obviously, the info of like care tips would pop up, and do your research before getting a fish. And I know that's hard. Like, I wish somebody told me that before I dove in and was careless and didn't know no better. So,
Yeah. Well, even if someone said that to you, you already have your mind made up that you want a certain type of fish and you want to keep it a certain way, and maybe you're going to try something cool and edgy. Like, I feel like it falls on deaf ears to say that because they might do a quick Google search and say, oh, yeah, well, the fish grows to be 6 inches. Sweet. But it doesn't tell you that when they go to pair off to mate, that they're going to kill everything else in the tank. Like, it's
yeah.
like you don't know what you don't know until you know. Like, I did a bunch of research about how to keep brine shrimp, and I set up the tank, and I was like, okay, this is it. These are all the ingredients for a brine shrimp tank to raise them to adults. I've watched over 50 hours of footage on YouTube about brine shrimp. I've read so many ecology reports. Like, I can keep brine shrimp, and the culture crashed within 15 days. So
Right, right.
it's like, and it was some weird reason why. It's because I didn't have the bubbles flapping them all around like Father Fish told me to do. And everything I read said not to flap them around because they waste energy fighting the current. So it's like sometimes you could do all this research and you're still not going to learn until you do it and mess it up, which is why I was going to say what you said as an answer, but then I was like, nah, because you could research until the end of the world and still not know until you end up killing a fish. Usually people don't try and fix something until it's broke. So once a fish dies, then you're like, why did my fish die?
Right, right.
Yeah, they go hand in hand. That's a good answer, research.
Sorry, I'm making a lot of background noise. Um, as I sit here talking, I'm looking at my large cichlid tank, and I'm not quite sure what's going on, but I see everybody kind of up at the top, so it's got me a little bit worried. But
How's your air? Do you have air stone? You have circulation,
oh
surface
yeah,
agitation?
I have like 3 sponge filters, F6 on this tank. I just got this top fin pro canister and hooked it up on it. I'm not sure if I got a little bit of a spike going on or what.
Yeah, I was gonna say normally when fish are up at the top and they're acting like they can't breathe, if their air circulation's good, it's either an ammonia spike or like gill flukes. So I would check your ammonia.
Right.
Or this actually happened to me and it wasn't ammonia. I put in a new fish tank decoration that was actually toxic and started killing all my fish. And I was like, oh, whatever, this fish died. It just must have been weak or something because it was a new fish. But then I noticed the other fish were acting weird and they were acting like they couldn't breathe. And it was because they were getting poisoned and it wasn't ammonia and they had an air stone. So it was probably that decoration I put in there that had like some toxic paint on it or something.
Huh.
So if you put anything new into the tank recently, that would be my next guess after ammonia or like gill flukes. But if you didn't put a new fish in recently and they haven't had gill flukes, I wouldn't suspect gill flukes.
I did put a new fish in, but I did not suspect that by no means. I got a handful more questions. I do not want this to end the stream. So usually I ask you to start showing your tanks at the end of the stream. What I'm going to ask you to do is, if you feel like it, I'm going to put you on full screen and you could go through and show everybody your tanks. I got this super heavy duty water pump and I'm just going to do a water change while you're showing us your tanks or whatever, and it literally takes less than 10 minutes, and then we can jump back into the questions if you're okay with that. And everybody in the chat, if you're okay with that, I'm sorry, this stuff kind of happens and I don't want to lose my fish. So this is a perfect time to see her tanks, and I'm gonna save my fish.
Yeah, sometimes you gotta do emergency water change, man. Also Rockstar for my baby niece. So we haven't done an official update on his tank yet, but he's still doing good. He got a new tank here in the fish room. He doesn't live out on the table anymore. He's just straight up chilling, dog. There he goes. He's doing good. I have to do, like, this fish room is not ready for like an official tour yet because all of the tanks are messed up. Like, they're not decorated the way I want, but these top 6 right here, not the 5-gallon in the middle. These are all new fish I just got from Wayne. He sold me a bunch of Betta Fish. I'm gonna be doing an update. I'm putting out a video about those. So, and I'll showcase the fish a little bit better. And then I want to show you guys the pool table I was referencing earlier. The light's not on down here. So yeah, Betta fish on the pool table. And don't worry, you guys, there's a heater right here. So we keep it nice and hot down here for them. And then here's the extra tanks I got. I got to finish drilling. I got new drill bits in the mail the other day. There's the Betta rack. I'm not done building yet. I'm gonna take all those bins out and cut some acrylic and basically build new tanks. I got the acrylic out in the carport. And then I'll show you the Oscars. And then if you guys want to type some questions right after I show you the monster fish, I can just read some of the questions if you guys type some. Or if you want to see like a specific tank or whatever. So
he said, I like that M puts mugs in her tanks.
Oh yeah, it's from the different fish tubers. I gotta get your mug too.
Yeah.
So here's Datnoid Geralt.
Oh yes.
And here's the new Oscars. They hang out together. My husband named the darker one Magmar, and I named the lighter one Alma. And they're beautiful.
Oh yes.
And then here's the Starry Night. I'm shining a flashlight on him, so he might drop his color. I'm thinking the bigger, darker one is the male, and the lighter one is the female, but it could just be 2 males, and one could just be more dominant. But they're both juveniles right now, so we're not going to know. And then we have Mr. Paku. He's a big fat baby. I feel like every time we feed him, I don't even think he uses the bathroom. I think he just puts on body weight. Like, he doesn't, we put food in and it doesn't come out. It's just goes to size.
Your niece said, Aunt Emily, I have a question. Does Baby Binks love Rockstar? I'm just wondering to make sure Rockstar is not scared.
Yes, Baby Binks does love Rockstar. We were sitting and watching his tank. Oh, give Mr. Paku a nut? Okay. Alright, so. Oh, and another thing, Geralt and Mr. Paku, they snuggle. They'll, like, sit next to each other fin to fin and just hang out. Okay, I have a little half of an unsalted cashew here. I have to give a shout out to Bob from Kaler's Aquatics. He taught me this. He said that they eat like trail mix and stuff. No, it's not for you, Geralt. As soon as Paku sees it. Oh, there you go. He got a big one. He said, oh boy, I got a big one now. Yeah, and he'll sit in the corner and flip that thing around. until he whittles it down. And he eats it. He'll eat cashews. We tried giving him an apple the other day and he just couldn't be bothered. Yep, he'll flip that thing around for 10-15 minutes until he gets it. So, and you can see the leaves of my sword plant up top here. I'm just going to say I don't know who's actually ripping them off because I haven't actually seen it. But we're going to assume it was the Oscars because right after I got the Oscar fish, the leaves of my sword plant started falling off.
Yeah, they don't like that.
Yeah, I'll get them out of there. Those are some pretty old, those are some older sword plants. I don't want to lose them. I've had them for about 5-6 years now. So I'll get a piece of krill for Geralt. I'll get a krill for him. Because we decided not to feed them for a day. Because he was acting hungry, but when we gave him the food, he just would spit it out. So he acted hungry, but then didn't want to like actually eat it. And I gotta find my tweezers. I don't know where I put them. Are they up top here? Well, I'm gonna have to do it with my hand, I guess. Hold on, I don't want to get my sleeve wet. And then I'll feed him this. Oh wait, oh thank God I found these. Okay, I got my tweezers. Okay, so you can see Geralt. Well, I can't really see him. He pokes his head out, but hopefully we'll see him. Oh, Starry Nights are trying to get it. Oh, the Starry Night got it. I'll try one more time. Oh, the Oscar got it. Wow, they're gonna get big. Alma got it. She got the krill. I don't know. It could be a boy. Try to feed Geralt again. I don't know if he's even in there. Geralt, are you in there? Yeah, I see him in there. Maybe he didn't see me drop it. I know he's hungry because we didn't feed him for like a day. He gets a little shy though when there's other fish around. Here, you want this? Starry Night. I think Geralt's gonna be shy because of the phone. So look, almost still got that krill. A pond would be cool, Jimmy P says. Yes, it would be very cool, especially a big, huge one. But I don't want to stress my husband out. Let's finish the fish room first. Here's brine shrimp. I might have to go around back to see them. You may or may not see adults swimming around. But let me see. Give me a second. Let me see if there's any questions. Put my sleeve back in this. Okay. Okay, here's my tablet. Do you know how big Mr. Paku is going to get? It's not a black Paku, so it may or may not get to 3 feet. I've heard that the black Pakus are the ones that get that big. Whew, God, it's hot. Hot, hot, hot. Hot in here. Max, you're in my spot. You're in my spot, buddy. Oh, Max. No. Okay, a pond would be cool. Yeah, baby brine shrimp tank. How big will Rockstar get? Betta fish are probably maxed out like this big with like the fins and everything. Planning a pond for when that happens. Yep. Maybe Crown Tail Half Moon wants to see the. Oh, Max. Yeah, let me show you the brine shrimp out here. Show you my little flashlight. Max, what are you doing with your flashlight?
Sorry, I'm butting in What sizes are your like average tanks? I know you said you got 60 tanks. It looks like you got a lot of like 20 talls or.
Oh yeah. 20 highs, 10s, 5s, 40s. Yeah, 5s, 10s, 20. And then this is a 29. This is the only odd shaped tank in the fish room at the moment. And then I have the 75 upstairs and 150 down here in the spare bedroom. So I don't know where I dropped my flashlight. You guys probably saw me put it down somewhere and I don't remember. But you can't really see too well, but they're doing good. I split up the culture. So I have brine shrimp here, 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 and here. And then the sink tank is doing good. There's some adults. May be able to see them moving, you may not. There's like 3 adults in here. I can't even see them. They're easier to see in the sun. So far, the only tanks that we haven't moved into the fish room is Spike. He's missing an eye. Betta Fish missing an eye. Spike, and I forget what my brother-in-law named this Betta Fish. I think it was like Nick or something. But so these 2 haven't got moved in. Spicy Boy hasn't gotten moved in. And then there's 2 baby blue eye lemon bristlenose plecos in here and the female Betta Fish. So I have to break these tanks down and move them into the fish room. I gotta drill these and put them in there first. And then there's no more tanks anywhere else other than the 75 upstairs. Let's see other questions. It's so weird seeing my house like on the screen. Max, scoot over, fat boy. Please clean the pond. How big will Rockstar get? What do you feed commercial foods, live foods to all fishes and any other live foods except baby brine shrimp? Do you feeding schedule? Okay, so basically I feed them whenever. But it's once a day for now, or once every couple days until I can get my water change system. This is a new addition to the food gauntlet. I like this one for the fish with like little mouths. I ended up spilling this earlier. So here's the solution to that. Whoop. Yep. Perfect. Betta and Bellis like micro pellets. Also guppies and stuff like micro pellets. So those 2 foods are in the room right now because I've been messing with those lately. So far, I've fed Daphnia once, but my Daphnia culture crashed. We feed unsalted mixed nuts to Mr. Piqued. We have Massivore Delight, but so far the only one that eats it is the catfish. I'm trying to get Geralt. I don't think he'll ever get onto pellets. Piqued will eat it. The catfish eat it. I don't know if the Oscars will eat them. I feed this. I was feeding this to the Starry Nights before I ended up buying that cichlid formula. Extreme Aquatic Community Peewee. They sink at the same rate as that cichlid one. And then spirulina, blue-green algae powder. I feed this to baby brine shrimps. And then I have a bunch. I think I subscribe to, here's all my foods up here. I subscribe to Fluval Bug Bites, Pleco, catfish food for Ancistrus. This is very important because it has like wood in it for them, like fiber. And then a bunch of shrimp stuff that has like extra calcium. We have the Dennerley Shrimp King Complete. Yeah, and then shrimp salts. Tetracolor granules. I don't buy these Betta Foods Betamin. They just came with a bunch of tanks I adopted. But I like the Fluval Bug Bites. So this is for my herbivores. This is the spirulina. That's for like the guppies and stuff. And then Vibra Bites. And then I have First Bites. I give those to Heterangia formosa. And then bottom feeder tablets. I have some other like bottom feeder tablets and stuff upstairs near the 75. I think that's all for the food. I have a bunch of medications and like water conditioners and like plant fertilizers and stuff. That's it for the food, I think.
I have recently found a distributor that I get food through and also try to sell. I've been trying it out on my fish. They seem to like it. Generally at the store, I'll buy API or Hikera krill like flake food, or I have a lot of obvious large cichlids that are carnivorous and such, so I tend to stick with meaty foods or whatever for my fish primarily.
Yeah, I have to get more of like a commercial type food deal going on, but until I set up my auto water change, I'm not really doing a lot of like breeding and feeding in mass like that. I'm just trying to get established. And I built the fish room in reverse. So I bought all the fish first and then the tanks. And then I built the fish room. So Shark Thing says, does Max try to attack the fish? No, he doesn't. He walks around on top of the tanks. Binks will see the fish swimming and like hit the glass. Let's see, does Max try to attack? Can you share the drill? Can you share drill bits for holes? Yeah. Let me bring this tablet with me just so I can read as I'm walking around. I will share the link. I'm gonna do a video here soon within the next day or so of me drilling the tanks. They're off Amazon though. Oops, there goes that. This one was from Uxel, or I'd have to spell it, but they work really, really well until they get dull. So I got 2 of those, and then these I haven't tried yet. But they look pretty cool. I got to get rid of that pilot bit. I'm going to use this Allen key to bust open this to get the pilot out, because it doesn't really work out too well when you're trying to do a flat plate of glass. But I will share you the link.
As you're showing us all these tanks, I just want to take a moment and say thank you, everybody that's still hanging out. I'm sorry this happened. I almost got them filled back up. I'm going to get some prime in there, get all the filters, heaters, all that good stuff plugged back in. And then I got a handful more questions for Emily. And I appreciate y'all throwing questions in the chat so that she can see them and might answer them for you guys. So thank you. And I'm sorry yet again. This is unexpected. I did not aim for this, and I'm really sorry.
Yeah, thank you guys for coming to watch. I appreciate you guys. Okay, so Ketchuput oil, which is the same oil that's in Melifix. No, I just grabbed a Pimifix. Hold on now. I know I got a Melifix. There you go. So if you look, ingredients, directions, tips, contains, it's not going to focus, but I'll read it as best I can. Melaleuca oil. Says Ketchuput oil 1%, which is what this is. And you can get this in this huge bottle. It's an essential oil, so you probably only really need like 1 drop or half a drop. But it's way cheaper. This will last you your entire life. You'll probably never have to buy a Melifix ever again. There's tips and tricks, life hacks, Lemo style. I literally will sometimes see something like this, like Melifix, what the heck is that? And I'll Google, what's the active ingredient? And then it says Ketchuput, and I'll just type in Ketchuput and then buy it. I have a bunch of herbal stuff. When I was like losing a bunch of fish, like I was losing so many fish, like probably 75%. I bought everything. I treated for everything because I was like, they're all going to die. So I might as well treat this tank with this, treat this tank with that, because what they actually had, I found out in the end, was they had camelinus redworm.
Yeah.
And that was killing them, but giving them really, really weird symptoms. Like they looked like they had a fungus or columnaris. And so I tried everything. But what finally stopped them from dying was the levamisole. So I will probably never, ever, ever use any other anti-parasitic dewormer other than levamisole ever again. You can get levamisole at Aquarium Co-op. They probably sell it for a very reasonable price. But I got mine off of Subquaria, and they ship it to you with the instructions on how to do it. I also did a video on this called How to Treat Parasites or something, and you can pause it on that to get the instructions, and I think I posted a link and stuff.
Chubs and Jets, thank you for coming in. Y'all want to know, I'm in the middle of an emergency water change. I had all my fish at the top. So Emily is showing us her whole setup, her tanks, her food choices, how she operates over 65 tanks.
Oh, yeah. As far as operating the 65 tanks, I just have a pump on the end of a hose for water changes. But another good dewormer is Fenbendazole. This I got at Tractor Supply. It's dewormer pellets for like cows and chickens and pigs and stuff. And this actually saved a fish tank once. I took like a couple of these nuggets here and busted them up in the mortar and pestle and treated a couple betta fish and guppies with this, and that saved them because I was so desperate. I was like, I'm really about to lose thousands of dollars of fish right now. So I tried one tank with levamisole with my experimental method, which actually worked really well. It's like this whole process I do, but it's like the simplest way to treat for parasites, and that's in that other video I did. But fenbendazole is good. Metronidazole, I don't know how to say it, but like you can get a lot of these dewormers and stuff for cats and dogs. Like the active ingredients on this one is piperazine citrate, which I think is similar to praziquantel. I'm not sure. I didn't try this one, but I got this one just in case the others didn't work. And then here's like a dog dewormer for tapeworms. I think it's called what is it called? This one's fenbendazole, but when it kills roundworms and stuff like internal parasites, it's called an anti-hemlic or something. I can't pronounce it, but it basically means it kills worms. So you can use stuff like that. Ick-X hasn't worked for me in my experience. Then again, it's an unconfirmed case of ick. I think it was Epistylus, which is another type of protozoan ectoparasite, just like ick. But the Ick-X didn't save my panda platies. They all died. Paragard, I haven't used it, and Pro, I haven't used it because I think they kill shrimp and snails. One of these is bad for shrimp and snails, so I try to avoid that. But yeah, I've used almost all of these in the past. I tried to go with the herbal, but I don't think they were really effective. Like this is almost empty. I was like squirting this into all the tanks. So, and then I have antibiotics. I don't really like to use antibiotics because that'll completely crash your cycle. But Maricin is good. That treats a lot of stuff. And also the penicillin. This treats gram negative and gram positive. Okay, so if you hit them with the Maricin, which I think is for gram negative, I'd have to read. Again, don't quote me on that. But Maricin will not do both, okay? So if you hit them with Maricin and it doesn't work, hit them with penicillin. But just know you're going to crash your cycle, so you should use the hospital tank. I don't do that anymore because I crashed my cycle and then lost the entire tank of fish because of, a crashed cycle. I just do salt now, and I use marine salt just because I have it laying around because I have a brine shrimp culture. So you can use regular aquarium salt, though. That's what I use for bacteria. And then like religious water changes, like I'm saying like big ones. People do like 100% water changes on their fish tanks, like when they have like automatic water change systems set up and stuff. So when I do my water changes once a week or once every 2 weeks, I take all the water out basically. I do like a 90%. People will say that will shock your fish, but if I want to breed fish and sell fish, I don't want to breed and sell weak fish that can't handle an 80% water change. So I have Lifeguard, Ickguard. Some of these aren't even open, but I have everything just in case I need it. Erythromycin, pure Epsom salts. This is good for you pair this with the levamisole to get the parasite out, because this will relax the muscles of the fish and it also acts as a laxative. So I hit them with the levamisole per the directions, subaquarius scent, and then I overfeed the heck out of them. So dump like a bunch of food in there and then hit them with some of this. I think it's 1 tablespoon per, I don't want to say this wrong. I said it correctly in the other video, but I'd have to Google it to make sure. But it's like 1 tablespoon per X amount of gallons or something. So you hit them with that, and then they will eat, and then they'll poop, and then all the parasites come out, and then you can put them back in the tank. And then I have like regular aquarium salt. I have hydrogen peroxide, but I haven't used it yet because I'm afraid. I haven't really found a need. I was going to use that for the hair algae next if it didn't work. But fertilizing worked for me. And I just use like the Flourish stuff and Easy Green. I don't do this regularly. Like sometimes I'm like, oh, I feel like fertilizing my fish tanks, and I'll come down here and I'll measure it out and like mix it up and then dump it into a random tank. I'm not like, I have an auto doser system I haven't set up yet. So that's why I have all the chemicals here so I can fill that up. What's this? Oh, root tabs. Yeah, that's it. It's all my medications and my ferts. But I want to try some different fertilizers and run some experiments. I mean, I have enough tanks that I can do that. Let's see what else. Hi, what's up? Oh, love the nails, Lemo. Oh, thank you, Cranto Half Moon. Thank you. Chubbs Aquatics. Were there any other questions up higher than this, you guys? Let's see. Give Mr. Baku a nut. Betterac 2.0. Yes, Zach. Yes. More like 4.0 because it's leaked like 4 times. I've used an entire thing of sealant on it. Look at my snails, you guys are doing so good. Look, I have a giant ramshorn back there. Love these snails. Hi, Rockstar. Hi, Rockstar. Wish I could stay longer, just stopping by to show some love. See you all later. Okay, bye, Chubb. See you.
Appreciate it. Sorry, y'all. I'm just about done now. I'm getting all my filters plugged back in, and I will finish my questions for her.
Measurement spoon. So this is just like a random assortment. This I think I got at Walmart. Anchor Hawking. I don't know.
Come here.
It has ounces, teaspoons, tablespoons, milliliters. And so like if this says use X amount of milliliters per gallon, then I'm like, okay, well I want to do the 150 gallons. So I need blah, 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 blah millimeters. So I'll pour that in. And then like if this one says use X amount of millimeters for whatever gallons, I'll do that math. And I basically end up with a cup like this full of fertilizer. I dump it in. This is just a teaspoon. These are just pipettes. I haven't used them for anything yet. I don't know what I used this for in the past, but it does 10 millimeter, 2 teaspoons. This is just like random stuff. I think I used it once for fish stuff, and we have to keep it separate because my husband hates it when I use like kitchen stuff for fish stuff. So that's what we got to do. What's another question? Hi, Lemo. Glad your fish are doing better. Thank you, Glitch. I have had like 2 or 3 mass cullings. It was horrible. One time my pump went out and I lost my Piqued catfish. He was like 6-7 inches long. I had him for like 5 years. I was crying like a little baby. I had to call my husband down to come get him out of the tank because I was like convulsing. I was crying so bad when he died. Yeah, the pump went out and he suffocated because there wasn't any circulation. That's when this tank was the live bearer mosh pit before it was the monster tank. And then I started stocking a bunch of fish from all over, and I wasn't quarantining, and you know, I wasn't too smart about it, and they all caught something and lost about half of them. But we're all good now, and I think I figured it out, and now I'm not afraid of any mystery fish illnesses because I'm either going to hit them with levamisole or salt and water changes. So that's basically my philosophy. If a salt bath or like doing a big water change and hitting them with a lot of marine salt doesn't fix them, and then the levamisole doesn't fix them, they were just weak. They weren't meant to make it. That's how I feel. Can you show the measurement spoon and what you keep? Did that one. Can you show the bettas on the pool table? Yes, I can show the bettas. Bye, Garrett. We'll be right back. We're going to go look at the betta fish, okay? Just for the record, I'm going to put this out here. I don't really support keeping betta fish this way. They should have, like, heaters and filters and not be kept at a slightly elevated room temperature. Like, I'm sweating down here because it's hot for me, but I know that the betta fish probably need a little bit warmer than this. Be completely transparent with you guys. I don't think betta fish should be in anything less than, like, 5 gallons. I prefer 10 gallons, but
Which aquatics, that is the scariest thing. Like, you were sitting there literally just looking at your tank and everything was fine. Everybody was swimming around all good. And then, you know, we've been going for a minute now. And, you know, halfway into it, I look over and I see absolutely everybody up at the top. So, yeah, it really scared the crap out of me. But everybody's resuming back to normal slowly, it seems like. I done 50% and added some prime. This tank has been cycled for a while, so I'm not quite sure what caused the spike.
Well, I'm glad that you were able to catch it in time. Yeah, this is just a temporary situation for the betta fish. I don't like that I'm doing it like this, and I would never recommend someone else to do it like this, and I feel horrible. Just for the record.
So far in the hobby, what has been your favorite fish to keep, or can you pinpoint it down to like 1 or 2?
My favorite fish is a pleco, but they're not very interesting. I will say my favorite one to keep would have to be some sort of live bear. I think Heterandia formosa. I think that one's empty. I probably took the fish out of there and moved it into a tank in the fish room. This is a young female. This one here, I stole my gal's turkey baster for my tanks. I have a special turkey baster just for the tanks. I got it at the dollar store. This one I got from Houston Aqua in a mystery pack. Come here, dum-dum. In a mystery pack. And it's beautiful. It's like an elephant ear, and it's like kind of beige colored, like yellow kind of.
Ooh.
Yeah, I like that one. He's doing good. He's been living in this tote for, sad to say, a couple of months actually. But these totes are cycled. There's snails living in here. I did water changes on him. He seems happy. He's interactive. He's always swimming around his little tote. Who's in here? See, some of these are empty. No one's in here. All right, so no one's in this one. No one's in this one. Because what happens is whenever I put a new tank in the fish room, I usually come out here and grab a betta from the pool table and put them. I'm trying to clear these out. Here's one. This is just a red.
Kevin, look at you stopping in. What's up, buddy?
Hello, Petraman. I told my husband about what you said. I can't catch this one. It's like a half moon or something. That's a red one. He's doing good. I religiously understock my tanks because I've lived and learned the consequences of overstocking. Can't wait to reseal this 120 and get them in there. Yep. I feel that. I think I have a tank right now that has way too many bumblebee platies for before I had the air set up. This is a red one.
Crown Tail Half Moon asked, what leaves are you using for them?
Not good ones because they're not putting any tannins in the water. I'll tell you that right now. Let me pull out the bag because I ordered them off Etsy and they've been sitting in there and it's not putting tannins on the water at all. These they're for reptiles and they're not breaking down at all. I think they were like boiled or something already. I don't know what type of leaves they are, but I'm gonna get catappa. And I have these work really good. Alder cones. That's in some of the tanks in the fish room. But I was just testing this out because this was cheap and bulk. So, it says oak leaves. Premium live oak leaves. I know you can put oak leaves in with Betta Fish. I mean, I've read about it online, but they're not turning. These oak leaves have been in here for weeks and weeks, and it's not turning the water.
Get,
You know what I mean?
get some maple leaves.
Here's a blue one. Beautiful. That's a beautiful one. We don't have good lighting right now, but.
And you say you don't suggest this method. That's bigger than a fish bowl.
It is. I think it's like 3 or 4 gallons, actually. I'm not good with the liters. 12 quart, I don't know. What is that, 2 gallons? I don't know. Somebody do the math. I'm not British. Or the liters. Here's a blue one.
Ooh.
I think it's a half moon or something. I like the half moons. Looks like guava.
So then are you like breeding these to sell, or do you just like bettas now, or
Both. I have to breed them and sell them to justify having so many. Here's a red one.
ooh. Is that
These
kind
are
of
all-
like a
These
help?
ones are all like Petco and PetSmart varieties, other than the one I got from Houston Aqua. So nothing too special. Like I think this is a, what do they call this one? A paradise one? It's like red and blue. They're very handsome and their fins are in good condition. And they seem to be enjoying their time more than the cups they came from. But they usually get a little bit more happy once you put them in like a 10-gallon tank with like other fish to hang out with and like a snail to chase around and stuff. Here's a red one. I bag up my own dried mulberry leaves from my yard. I wonder if I have mulberry trees around here. Where are you going to sell them on/at? That's undetermined yet because everything is still new. Oh, look, somebody's got a little bubble nest in here. I want to try and sell locally first, and if there's not enough demand in my market for local, dang, he's fast. Then I want to try and sell off eBay. I also have my own website. It's not up and running right now. This is like a dragon one. It's like red fins with the silver body.
Ooh.
Yeah, he's good. But selling online, you have more costs and more risk. So I would prefer to sell locally before I got into the whole bagging and shipping fish. Like I have to get good at running a fish room first and breeding fish first and just advertising my fish and getting people to want to buy them. Yeah, red dragon. Thank you, Crown Tail Half Moon. Before I want to, start doing online and all that shenanigans. There's a lot of stuff going on online that like I might not be in demand because I'm just practicing on PetSmart and Petco betta fishes. Crown Tail Half Moon will have to tell me what this one's called. Is it like a mustard one? Or it's like black or blue body with the yellow fringe like around its fins. He's kind of skinny. I gotta feed him. I try not to feed them a lot in the totes because it's a smaller water thing. I don't want to foul the water too quickly, but
Right.
here's a little female, I think a cellophane something.
Crown Tail said pineapple, I think.
Oh yeah, it might be. This is a little female. She's pretty cute. Oh yeah, is the mustard gas a different one? They're like, I forget what they look like. I forget what they're called. To me, they're long fin or short fin, red or blue. Here's another red one. I think half moon.
Yeah, he's got that Hellboy red look to him.
Yeah, I like that. I'll say this is one step above the cups that they come in. But
So
I do have to feed them more.
is there any fish that you want to keep that you have not kept yet, and why?
Well, I am still new to keeping fish, so there's a lot that I haven't kept yet. And the reason is just because I'm so new and all my tanks aren't set up yet. Or like I'm not ready to. So like I want to keep a bisher, but you know, they take a while to grow out, and I kind of want to wait to have a pond before I start buying more monster fish.
Right, right.
I want more wild type betta fish. I just don't have the tank space right now because I'm also trying to breed live bears. And then I want more fish off of the cares list because let me show these guys. I absolutely love these guys. These are my Scyphia multipunctata goodies. They're so cute and they're still babies, but I want more guys like this. And yeah, just more of the stuff that's like still fairly common, but you don't really see it in like a pet store common. Like people know what I'm talking about if I say Betta embellis, but you're never gonna see a Betta embellis at a PetSmart.
Right.
So and basically the reason why I haven't kept some of the other things is because I'm still new and setting up, basically.
Yep. I have goals to have a 1,500-gallon pond built in my basement, and I want to keep a tiger shovel nose, a red tail, a tiger Rennis catfish. Like, I want to keep some monster fish.
Yeah, I want a red tail cat, but they get as big as me, basically.
Right.
So, yeah, it's insane. But I'm not even gonna start looking at those until the pond is like done and cycled.
Right, right.
Like I think the most expensive fish I have right now is the datnoid was 150. I just recently had a swordtail pass away. He was 75 bucks. I got him off with someone on Aquabid. He was a red king hyphen something swordtail. He was like this big from like sword to like nose. And he recently died. I don't know what it was, but I treated his tank with salt, and everyone else in the tank with him is fine now. So he was in here with the swordtails. I don't know what type of swordtail this is, but they're mostly all orange.
Do you have any thoughts on hybrid fish, like negative or positive?
It depends on which type of hybrid fish you're talking about. If you're talking about a flower horn, I think they're pretty neat. If you're talking about mixing like African cichlids and getting some like weird mutt African cichlid, I mean, do whatever you want. I'm not a cichlid person, but like I mix a bunch of guppy strains together, and others would crucify me for ruining the strains. I think as long as we're being responsible and not releasing them back into the wild, it's fine. But it's like I can say that all day long and it's still going to happen. Look at Thailand and Betta splendens. You can go to Thailand where they used to catch wild Betta splendens, and you can catch fancy bettas there because people have released stuff like that back into the wild. Like I feel like me having an opinion on it is kind of a moot point. Like I'm not gonna want to mix my African cichlids just because I kind of like having all yellow labs. But like if you do it, like I don't care. I'm not gonna say you're ruining anything.
Right. My opinion is I don't think people should intentionally try to like, oh, I'm gonna create this fish. No, you shouldn't really do that. But if
Yeah.
you have some fish together in a tank, they've been together and somehow they breed and their genetics work, then okay. And call it what it is though. Don't try to think you're some scientist that created, a new
Yeah.
fish. Like, hey, my convict bred with my fire mouth. Do you want one of these babies?
Yeah. It's basically a mutt. I mean, I call my mutt guppies and my mutt platies like just ones that don't have a specific color that won't fit into Bumblebee or Mickey Mouse. I just call them spares. There's spare mollies, spare platies. Jimmy P says, can you practice sending fish to me? Yes, I was actually thinking about that today. I was like, I should send him something so he can have, because I was listening to your live stream and you said that you wanted to have something from like fish tubers in your room. Or you mentioned something like that. And I was like, you know what, I should send him something. So once I have some fry, like I definitely want to start sending out these goodies because I think they're endangered or extinct or something. I definitely want to start sending those out to as many people willing to care for them as possible. But I will practice. Like if I have like some guppy fry or something, I'll practice with that.
What is your favorite nano fish? My back camera on this phone is not gonna do no justice. I'm trying to show you guys my new favorite nano fish. You can kind of see him there, but not. There he goes. I don't know.
I'm trying to see him. Who is that? Oh, is that a half beak?
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, hold on. My buddy Wayne is messaging me a question. I just now noticed it. Hey, I have, he said, how do I join the chat? Okay, Wayne wants me to show you his flower horn. This is probably from like an hour ago, but can you guys see that?
Yeah. That big old cock on it.
Yeah, I have a video. I did like a little house tour of his house, and it's like this big, dude. It's huge. What was the question? Oh, favorite nano fish. Okay, so there's three. Okay, one right now, currently in this exact moment, is the Pygmy Sunfish because I didn't know they existed, and Father Fish was talking about them, and I googled them and fell in love. They're absolutely adorable. They're like, they look like a cute little sunfish, but they have the personality of like a little betta fish, from what I understand. Like as far as being like super inquisitive and stuff, and they're so tiny, super cute. And then the other one before that was Celestial Pearl Danio. Only because I found a bulk supplier online where I could order like 50 of them to make it to where they were like $2 or $3 each. And like in my area, they're like $9 each. And I'm like, wow, easy money. Like even if I can't breed them, I could at least sell half of them and make back some of my money. And they're super cute too. I don't really see them that often. They hide a lot. And then the other one is Pygmy Corridoras. Those are super cute.
I ain't gonna be able to find them, but I also got some pygmy kalui loaches. They are so tiny. Those are really cool. I was trying to show you. You was talking about Bishers. This is my albino Senegal, but he ain't wanting to come to the front of the tank.
Oh, I see him. He's cute.
This is my misfit community tank. How I said earlier, I do mix some fish occasionally if they work, but I always will pull them if not. This has Mbunas, Jules, Salvini, Jack Dempsey, some rope fish, my Bisher. I got a Royal Pleco I just got back here on this bubbler. You can't really see them all too well. There's a vampire Pleco in there, and a couple bristle nose and some dojo loaches. But everybody gets along. They're not killing each other. I'm not coming down here every night finding a new dead fish or nothing like that or whatever.
That's good. I like that. I don't know, how can my friend Wayne join the chat? Does he have to subscribe to you?
Sorry, what?
How does Wayne join the chat so that he can ask a question? Because these are his betta fish I bought from him in these tanks up here.
Okay, so I can put the link in the comments and he can click on that and you mean like you want him to come up on the screen with us?
No, I think he just wants to type a question into the live chat so So does he just have to subscribe?
He just got to go to my channel and be watching the live. Aquafunk, what's up, dude? Yeah, tell him to go to Casual Aquatics on YouTube, and then this live stream should be showing up the first thing, and then he would just click on it, and then when that pops up, he clicks on chat, and then from there, it'll pull up the chat conversation, and he can type his question or whatever.
Yeah. So here's our video. Right here is live chat, and you click on it right here and then type or whatever. But I think it only lets you type if you're subscribed. So if you need to subscribe to him, it would just be this button right here. I don't know.
Does anybody in the chat have a head stander fish?
Head stander fish. I think I've seen that for sale on.
He's hard to see. He's this striped black dude too. Well, now he's in a hide.
Can I use the GE silicone on this 120? It depends on which one, Glitch. Hold on. Let me show you. I'll show you guys the rules for silicone. There's two types. There's silicone 1 and silicone 2. Where's my tub of silicone? I have a big tub of silicone around here.
DAP 3 silicone, 100% silicone.
Yeah, it has to say 100% silicone. You don't want anything that has additives in it, like mold preventative and none of those chemicals. I don't know where my tub of silicone is, but GE, it'll say GE silicone and it'll have a teeny. Oh, I see it. I see the bin of silicone. Hold on. Teeny tiny asterisks, and it'll say 1 or 2. Here. I don't use the DAP, but I know that they make a safe one. So, clear silicone 2 asterisks, and it says 100% silicone.
Aquafunk said he likes to use bubble gum.
Here's silicone 1 asterisk. 100% silicone. So those are the ones I use. And I've resealed a couple tanks and done a couple projects, so. But there's others too. The rule is you don't want any additives because silicone itself is safe. So as long as it says 100% silicone, no additives or whatever, you're good. But I think there's different types of silicone too. There's one that cures like an ammonia-based cure, and there's like another kind I forget. You want the ammonia one, I think. I'm probably saying something wrong, but there's 2 different types of silicone that cure differently. And I'm not sure if one is better over the other as far as being safe for fish. It just cures faster or something, or lasts longer or something. I don't know what I'm talking about. You could Google it. That's something like that. Bubblegum. Oh, Glitch, just make sure that the tubes aren't old. They have an expiration date, because if you use expired silicone, they'll never cure. They'll just stay sticky forever and they won't seal right.
Do you keep any crayfish?
I want crayfish. It's hard for me to get them in this state because I think they're illegal to import or something. I don't know if it's specific just for my state, but like once a crayfish crosses a state line, I'm like, it's like illegal. I don't know. There's crayfish around here, like natural ones or native ones that I can catch, but I'm not sure if I'm allowed to take them home or not. I have a fishing license, but there may or may not be a regulation that says I can take them home or not.
I got like 3 of them in here. I've only recently started keeping them.
What kind is it? I like that. It's a white one.
The one is a snow white or whatever. I honestly can't remember. Sorry, what this one's color or name was. It's got like a orangish red, I don't know, hue to it. He's really cool though.
My friend, I have a a fishy friend that does crayfish, and he'd be able to tell you. He has like one of every kind, it seems like. I don't know if he's watching right now, but I want to see if I can get into crayfish. I don't understand the law, and I don't want to like break the law, so I'm still trying to figure that out. Next, stop biting me.
Yeah, it's weird how one thing can be illegal in this state, but then the next state it's not. But I guess it's the whole like endangered, or I don't know, overpopulation of it, or whatever the case is. What's one fish that you can't keep due to that very thing that you would like to keep? If
Apple snails.
What are they?
Apple snails. They're the giant mystery snails. They're like super invasive. They will eat all the vegetation in like a water system. So I think they're down in Florida. I don't know if they're native to Florida, but I know that like that's why you can't have them. They're not illegal in the UK or somewhere over in Europe that they're fine, but they're like super invasive and illegal in like a lot of states in the US, and I really want one so bad.
Right,
They get huge.
I got a buddy, he's got a channel, Rob's Aquatics, and he's from Florida. And he like they're so bad there, like they're pretty much telling them to kill them type things. And like I'm like, man, you should just send me one. Like, how are they gonna know? And he's like, no, I'm not taking that chance. I'll go to jail.
That's like a big fine. I don't know if they'd put you in jail, but like it's like at least $1,000 fine, if not more. And it's like should I risk it? I don't know. I kind of want to just follow the rules, but God, I really want one so bad one day.
Okay. Do you have a favorite filter you use in all of your tanks, or is it whatever you can get that's going to properly filter it and you throw it on it? Do you prefer hobs, canisters, sumps, sponge filters?
Okay, so I'll try to keep this quick because there's so many videos about this on YouTube. There's two things with filters that basically make them relevant to a fish tank. One, surface agitation. Two, surface area for bacteria to colonize. I'll say three, like mechanical, like physical debris separation, but that's negligible depending on if you like mulm or not. Those are the three main reasons why you would have a filter. I don't really like hang on the backs because I think they're loud and use a lot of electricity, and I think it's more of like a state of mind. It's more of like a mental thing, like a feel good thing. Like people feel like I have a filter on my fish tank, and like I don't know. I'm probably like alienating a lot of people and being rude, but I don't prefer hang-on backs because of that. They take up a lot of space. They use a lot of electricity. The pumps really usually aren't that good. And I think it's kind of like a waste of space and a waste of time. Other than the aqua clears, I feel like those are the best ones, but I haven't used the aqua clear and I haven't used a hang on the back since I was like a kid, really.
So then, do you think the internal filter version is any less of a pain? Because they have internal filters that actually go inside of your tank and stuff. Or
I have a bunch of internal filters. They came with some of the fish tanks I bought. I don't want to waste my time with them. I feel like you could gain the same benefits of an internal filter that you could get from some other things. And this doesn't apply to people that want to run special type of chemical filtration, like if they want to run like carbon or the phosphate scrubbers or zeolite and stuff. But if you need something like that, like an actual vessel that will hold something other than just like rocks or sponge, I would say box filter. Sponge filters are okay, but then you can't do like carbon or zeolite or anything like that. I have a canister filter upstairs that I use on the 75. I feel like that gets clogged way too fast, so you kind of have to take some stuff out to get like good movement in there. But I kind of like that shrimp and detritus worms and snails go to live in there, and like the fish can't really eat them. but like you could just have a fish tank that has that. They also completely die if the power goes out, the canister filters. So you lose like a lot of your beneficial bacteria and can have like ammonia spikes and stuff, which has happened to me before. I have a sump, which is my first sump I've ever tried, which I like it because it does a lot of surface agitation. It's a secret hiding spot. You can put heaters, extra sponge filters. You could put plants down there you're trying to propagate. You could keep a betta fish in there. Like I keep a betta fish in my sump and a bunch of spare guppies and stuff. But LRB Aquatics said once that it's just another fish tank, which it kind of is. It's kind of just like an ugly fish tank, but it provides the extra surface area, the extra water volume, and the extra surface agitation because my pump pumps it back up. Right. I don't know if I can really speak on it much because I haven't been keeping fish for a long time, and a lot of what I'm saying is a bias based off of what I've seen other people do and based off of my limited time keeping fish. I don't have filters in my tanks right now just because I haven't like finished my fish room, but I want to try box filters like the ones Greg Sage has and sponge filters. I don't want to do hang on the backs just because if you have more than like 4 fish tanks, that's like a lot of filters. I feel like if I had 1 or 2 fish tanks, yeah, hang on the back is fine, but I think it's a mind trick. Like if you're just putting filter floss in your hang on the back, it might be pointless. Depending. If you gravel back and you keep your water clean, you don't really need a lot of mechanical filtration, I feel like. But there's all different types of fish tanks and all different types of everything. So a lot of what I'm saying isn't going to be applicable to what a lot of people watching have going on. I just know I can't have hang on the backs here.
I've
stuff like that, yeah.
I've heard a lot of people tell me that you can amplify a hang on the back and make it almost as good as a canister. But no, I can see your point in taking up space and whatever. Me personally, I want to get to the sump level, but I'm scared of drilling tanks. None of my tanks are drilled, so primarily I do use hang on the backs or canisters in my tanks, but yeah. I'm getting to the point where, I keep wanting to grow, and it's not just little tanks, I want big tanks. So yeah. I really need to think about diving into drilling some tanks and doing.
I have a playlist on YouTube about drilling tanks, and it's not just all my videos. It's videos that I've watched that taught me how to drill tanks. And then once I made a video of drilling tanks, I put my video on the playlist. So like I do that with a lot of my playlists. Like when I wanted to learn everything about Oscar fish, I watched almost every single Oscar fish video that came back with a YouTube search, and I added the relevant, like good, higher quality ones to the playlist. And so now if someone asks me a question like, how'd you learn to keep Oscar fish? I can send them the whole playlist. So like you can watch that playlist I made, and maybe that will help you to learn how to drill the tanks, and like you'll get more confident. You kind of just have to crack a tank or two. Like, just do it when you have the budget to crack a tank.
I got a bunch of like little 10s and 20 gallons laying around that I've acquired, and I might attempt to practice on them or whatever before I go drilling my 135 or 180 or, so yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely a place in the hobby for hang on the backs and canisters. Like you said, like you run hang on the backs and canisters, and so you find value in that, and those filters help you keep your fish alive. For me, it wouldn't work out so well. The hang on the back would just take up too much space, and like, can you imagine if I had a canister on every tank? So that's just for me, and that could change over time too. But someone asked, yeah, Glitch Aquatics says filtration depends on stocking and what the needs of the tank is. I want to build a sump for the 120 gallon, but do they ever flood? I only ever flooded my sump twice, and it was because I was doing maintenance and like forgot to turn on the pump or something. It's never been like I came downstairs to feed the fish one day and oh my god, my basement's flooded and the tank is empty. I'll show my sump real quick though. You can ask me a question again if you wanted to.
Well, Crown Tail said, Limal, what's your preferred substrates for plants or fish? And briefly, could you explain your quarantining method?
I don't have a preferred substrate because I have absolutely no experience, but I will say I have a positive bias towards deep substrate, dirted substrate, and sand. And I tend to shy away from shallower substrates or bare bottom tanks. But that's not based in any type of evidence or anecdotal. It's just kind of, I like the idea of it better. But I don't know if plants do better in it or not. Corey from Aquarium Co-op says sand is not good for plants, but a lot of other people say sand is great for plants. So I don't really have a preference. I have a bias that's not really grounded in anything important or relevant. I mean, this is dirt, sand, and gravel, and I don't think my sword plants are doing too good right now. I mean, they have a lot of nutritional deficiencies right now. I'm not like a master plant person. Like,
Do you use fertilizers?
no, not consistently. That's one of the beautiful gifts of ADHD. Like, I can't even remember to take my vitamins and stuff. Sometimes I forget to eat, dude. Like,
No, I don't either, but I love plants in all of my tanks. I feel like I got enough fish poop to fertilize all of my plants.
yeah.
Um, so, yeah.
Quarantine method.
Don't get me wrong, I got a bottle of Easy Green, and sometimes I'll get crazy and try to get on a schedule with it. You know, I got it from Aquarium Co-op, but
Yeah.
I'm not consistent. Also, I don't run CO2. I would like to at some point, just one tank to see, you know, how immaculate it and, you know, incredible it could be. But I feel like you can have beautiful planet aquascapes that don't have CO2 either. So, and then as far as substrate, I will say from personal experience, I did take one tank, my bow front, which ain't set up right now. And I had that fluorite eco complete substrate, and then it was capped with dirt and sand as well. And like I did notice the difference in like my plant growth, and also the lights were on timers, and you know, like I tried to put a little effort into it versus some of my other tanks that are just random. But rather, you know, you're wanting a jungle in your tank, or you just want some plants to pull nitrates and give it that aesthetic look. Like there's different levels of, you know, to each their own, I guess. That whole you always learn or keep learning in this hobby. So
Yeah, exactly. I have a CO2 tank, but I had it set up and then I got busy building the fish room, and so I just turned it off and haven't been messing with plants much. My quarantine method, um, when I got these Oscars, I drip acclimated them in this 5 gallon, and then I dipped them in the brine shrimp tank and threw them in. That's what I did. That's probably not the correct answer. A lot of people are probably cringing, but I mean, they didn't look sick. I investigated them.
where did you get them from?
PetSmart. That's probably a horrible idea. I don't know what to tell you guys. I'm sending
They'll
it to jail.
probably be okay. It would
I
be
don't
like
have I don't have a method is my point. It's kind of just like whatever I feel like. Um, but realistically, I would, once the fish room is set up and I'm not in the middle of stocking an entire fish room, because at this point there's just some tanks that I'm just treating right now. So I'm okay with treating tanks for something. So if I have to treat this 150 gallon for something, then I will. I don't think we're gonna run into any problems, but I will if I have to. But ideally, once the fish room is set up, I will have a separate quarantine tank, and fish will sit in there for 4 weeks minimum, because parasites, internal ones, usually have a life cycle of about 4 weeks from egg all the way to adult, or whatever you want to call it. And they can survive. Some of them can survive for 4 weeks without a host. From everything I've read online, that was the longest certain parasites could live without a host. So they will sit in the quarantine tank for 4 weeks. If I pre-treat, it would be with levamisole for a week, and then I might hit them with salt, and then I might hit them with levamisole again on the 4th week, and then I would just put them into the tank if I didn't see anything blatantly wrong with the fish. But that's my plan. We'll see what ends up actually happening. Crowntail Half Moon says, also tip for drilling holes, the bulkhead is larger than the hole size, so test fit first before drilling holes, so the bulkheads don't hit the rims. Okay, also with that, I have a chart that tells you what size hole saw to use with what size bulkhead. Hold on. Dun, 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 dun. I got the answers. Okay, here's the answers. You guys take a screenshot or something. I'll read it.
Oh man,
it's super blurry. I'll just read it. The copper seal gasket must go between bulkhead flange and tank wall. 1/2-inch bulkhead requires 1 1/8 diameter hole. 3/4 bulkhead requires 1 7/16 to 1 1/2-inch diameter hole. 1-inch bulkhead requires 1 3/4 diameter hole. Okay, you guys, also secretly, I used a 2-inch diameter hole for some of my bulkheads. I'll let you know if they leak, okay? It's a 1-inch bulkhead, and I use a 2-inch hole, and it just barely hangs on.
Danny, what's up, man? Thank you for stopping in, buddy.
This is my sump. This is Nutty Boy. Betta Fish lives in my sump.
How big is that?
This is a, what is it?
55.
48 gallon. 36 long, 12 deep, 19 high. And this is my max right here. I did a video on how I built this. It's like way back before I even started talking to anyone from Fish Fam. It was probably a vertical video too, not like landscape. But
Poseidon's Pets, what's up, buddy? Thank you for dropping in, man. That dude is a shrimp king. He knows everything and anything about shrimp. In fact, I've been watching his videos because I'm trying to do my own little shrimping thing, and he's really knowledgeable. So shout out to Poseidon's Pets. Check him out on YouTube, y'all.
I think I'm subscribed to him. I definitely want like a bunch of shrimp colonies, like a bunch of them. I want to breed amano shrimp too.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
Crowntail Half Moon asked if that tank is divided your sump, but the answer would be yeah, for the layers of water to flow through, I would guess.
So it's not divided the way that you would do it for a betta fish. It has, hold on, it has a divider here, and then a divider here, and then a divider here. So the water goes like that. And that's just so you can have certain compartments. So like this is my mechanical filtration where the water comes in and then it goes up and over. And maybe this is like my refugium or my deep sand bed. And like I can keep scuds in this section or like plants or whatever. And then like it goes up and over. And then over here you keep your carbon, your zeolite, your purigen, your chemical, whatever, your heater, and then it goes over again, and that's your pumps that pumps it back up to the tank. So, and I did a video on that. When the sump was new, I actually drew that diagram on the glass, and you can see it, like the max water line, where each level was, how the water moves, the measurements, like 2 inches, 7 inches, 10 inches, all of it. Is like I literally drew the instructions on how to build the sump on the sump in a video, and you can see that it's like way back in like July or something.
You're just a humble person. You're really good with your shrimp, bro. Garcia Aquatics. Hey guys, sorry for late, but I'm here now. It's okay, bro. We're just going on talking fish. I have a few more questions for her, and if you have any random questions, put them in the chat. Feel free to rewind back a little and see a little of what you missed.
Which Aquatic says she puts root tabs in once a month. I should honestly set a reminder, but yeah, I like root tabs. I should do that. I don't gravel back either. Sometimes I'm like, damn, I should go gravel back. That would be a fun time. And then I remember, like, that's actually garbage. I don't want to do any of that.
Nice. Here's a question somehow I skipped or whatever, which you kind of touched down on it, and we got some new people in the chat. So at any rate, what are your future plans in the hobby, if any? So now you done said you're just experimenting and having fun with what fish you can breed, and if you have a buddy that wants a fish, sure, you'll sell it to him. But are you planning on trying to open a legit shop? Or do you is it all personal? And then plans to expand, or any sort of like, I'm gonna build this, like me personally, I have plans to build a 1,500-gallon tank. Do you have any inspirations to do anything crazy like that or anything like that?
That's a good question. I do have lots of big, crazy plans. First, Danny said, what's your plan for the Pacu when it gets big? We mentioned this earlier, but me and my husband are going to build a big pond. And that's a super secret surprise. I'm not going to tell you guys like what it's going to look like, how big it's going to be, but that's a big super secret surprise coming next year. As soon as the ground thaws out, boom, we're digging. So it will be big enough for the Pacu. So that answers your question and Danny's question. But also, is it personal or business? I'm going to say a mix, and it's going to be different. It's not going to be 80% business, and, it's going to be like an ebb and flow. So, like, I obviously have the potential and the capacity to operate as a business. Like, a lot of fish stores might not even have 65 tanks. Some fish stores have like 20 or 30 tanks, and they operate as like a wholesaler, not really like a breeder though. But my plan is to gain experience with breeding and selling and advertising and just existing in the fish world, so that I have some actual ground to stand on and some positive reputation moving forward. Like, whatever. Okay, so look at Dean from Aquarium Co-op, how he has a fish room. I'm pretty sure that's his house, his home fish room, but he sells fish to Aquarium Co-op. That's one of my short-term goals, is to be able to sell fish casually to like a fish store or something, and then eventually be able to just stand on my own, like, hey, that's ADHD Aquatics, like her shrimp are perfect, like get like a name for myself. And then eventually, when I retire from my full-time, like, main job, like the job that pays for all this, I would like to have a store. But I don't know if it'll be a fish store or a quilting shop or what, because I like a lot of different stuff. But I feel like I could be successful at a fish store depending on the location and my experience level. But it's not something I'm aggressively chasing at the moment, like opening a store. Like, okay, by 2027, I want a store. It's like, yeah, it would be nice to have a store, but mostly if I can operate out of my home and make money, do I really want to do like the customer service thing all day and like the super big analytics like Corey from Aquarium Co-op? Probably not. I'm not trying to open up like a PetSmart chain across the whole country. Right. It could happen by accident, but for the most part, small businesses are not very successful, like statistically. But also, people with ADHD are more likely to be successful owning and operating a business. And that's a generalization, but I read a study about it once that running a business requires like a lot of different precision attention to strange details like analytics, customer service, like all that other stuff goes into it. And people that can focus on multiple things and change gears quickly, like someone with ADHD, would do well as a small business owner or like an entrepreneur. So I want to play around with that idea. Like maybe I could be successful at business, but then I also don't want the business side of it to ruin my personal, but
Right.
also I need it to kind of fund it. So I want to sell fish and be like a business, but I'm not trying to be like the only fish store in the world. Somewhere in the middle.
No, that's awesome. I feel you. It's a lot to take on. I played around with the idea. I haven't, like, I've sold my Oscars bread again by accident. I did not intentionally, like, hey, I'm gonna get these guys and breed them. No, I saved Oscars and they had babies. So,
Yeah.
I've sold my Oscars, and I've only recently started breeding some Endlers, and if I sell them, great. If I don't, oh well, I'll keep them. I'll put them in 100-gallon tank and have the world's biggest guppy tank. Obviously not, but you know what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
whatever. It's not. I couldn't imagine, and you're like way past my level on amount of tanks and setups. And so if you are saying, yeah, I don't know all about that yet, it's almost like a reality to me. Like, whoa, pump the brakes. Just enjoy it. Oh no, that's
Well,
cool.
imagine like you're saying, it could just happen like by accident or by happenstance. Like when I was a kid, I never thought, yes, I want to have a fish room in my basement when I'm older. Like it just kind of was like, yeah, this is what I want to do today, and I did it, and now it's here. So it's like, okay, full steam ahead. But and then who said it? Danny said that Corey didn't even realize Aquarium Co-op would get as big as it did. But you got to think like the reason why people love Corey or people love Dean or LRB is because they're doing something unique. Like LRB is like all natural, no filter, but he has like this insane on-demand RO water change system. Like what? Who does that?
He
He
has
has
the
this
world's
mega pump.
largest RO system. That's why Corey went to his house.
Yeah,
That's
exactly. Like I feel like if I can offer something unique like that, I have the potential to grow and operate on a larger scale than what I can envision in my head. And I'm envisioning something that I don't even realize is possible yet. So it's hard to see the future. So I'm just going to be myself and just stumble through and see what feels right. And maybe I'll end up cool like LRB or Master Fish Breeder Dean. Like, you don't know. Nobody knows. And you're doing the same thing. Like maybe you become like the Oscar guy. Like maybe you just become like a huge Oscar breeder because one time you adopted Oscar fish that had babies. Like it could just snowball.
right. I was fortunate to actually sell all of them, and I was also fortunate that out of probably 300 of them, only 120 actually lived and grew up to 2-inch size. And then I was fortunate again that I just posted on Facebook, and obviously I was kind of known because of my group or whatever on there, and I sold 120 Oscars. So
Nice. That's insane, dude. I read that a pacu fish can have something like a couple 100,000 babies. I read that and I was like thinking, oh my gosh,
yeah,
imagine if I bred a pacu fish, dude. What would I do with 100,000 pacu babies?
you would have less than a month to use them as feeders, or you would be in trouble.
Oh yes, dude. No, I can't even imagine. Like that's insane. You said how many did you say? 100? You said 150?
120 successfully out of
Oh
about
my
300.
gosh.
I'm telling you, I had a 55-gallon and it looked black from little fry. Just
That's incredible, man. God, stuff like that gets me excited. Like I hope I can get like the Starry Nights. If I could get the Starry Nights going like that, man, That's what keeps me going, is like the possibilities.
What were you asking for the Oscars? Oh yeah, I was giving them away, man. Like I looked up all my local pet stores and then I got online and checked out prices of what they're typically going for plus shipping. Like I think I was selling them at like $5 a fish, man. And I think like if they could prove, and that's a hard one to do in this hobby, tell somebody, well, you got to prove to me that you can properly home them. But if they could prove and bought more than three, you know what I'm saying? I'd cut them
Yeah.
even below dill or whatever.
I
So
don't think I would sell an Oscar fish to someone unless they had a 75.
right,
Only because the 55 is not deep enough. I was reading online that what is a 55? Like 13 inches, I think it said.
yep,
And
uh,
the Oscar fish full grown wouldn't be able to turn around. But see, by me saying that, I'm a hypocrite because I have a Pacu and 150. So the Pacu full grown would not be able to turn around.
as
And everyone says, I'll get a bigger tank, I'll get a bigger tank. And I'm saying, I'm going to build a pond. But like, what if something happens and I can't build a pond? I have to be emotionally and mentally prepared to have to rehome those monster fish, which is sad and I hope doesn't happen. But like, it's hard. Do you sell the Oscar fish to someone with a 55 and believe them that they're going to get a bigger tank later? Or do you just make it a rule? Like, there's a lot of ethical stuff that gets into it, and I haven't really thought about it a lot. So that's why I don't really want to breed bigger fish yet,
it's
because I'm too nice, and I might not be able to say, no, I'm not going to sell you this fish because you only have a 40-gallon.
it's a catch 27 or whatever that's called because like
Yeah,
I would ask them, show me your tank. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Like send me pictures and they could send me somebody else's 135-gallon
yeah,
technically. You know, like I guess the communication you have with them. I like to think I'm a good judge of character in person. Through message, it can be mixed.
yeah,
You know, you might take something wrong or whatever, misread. But you know, I probably was negligent, even in my best efforts of trying. But as long as they showed me, you know, and I bet I let a few go to 55s, but
well,
like,
they'll find out when the Oscar fish gets too big, and most people are not cruel to the point where they're just going to throw the fish outside or in the trash or something. Most people will try to rehome it and do the right thing. And it's sad that sometimes an Oscar fish has to live its first year in like a small tank and people make the mistake and stuff, but getting all upset about it and trying to control it is almost pointless, because unless you have like a large movement for like awareness or something, like Betta fishes in bowls or Oscar fishes in 40 breeders, you're not really going to make a big difference in the hobby as a whole, like getting all upset about one or two transactions. So it's
and,
hard. It's
and
like ethically and morally hard, but
and people that are like, well, I just can't afford that right now. Like,
yeah. And then
then
you feel bad.
there was nothing I could do about it.
Yeah.
Now there's still not necessarily, but there's like if you show me enough enthusiasm and you know I might even be like you need to join my groups so I can be checking on you, but like if I can get you a 75-gallon just so I know one Oscar is going to be okay for its whole life and you really want that fish, I try to help you, you know, if
Yeah.
that's possible. But at any rate, they haven't bred for a while because now I've put a bunch of other cichlids with them. So, like, if I decided, I don't know, I would have to think on that a little more because that's another like reality. I hope that my fish went to a good home and I could say all of them probably are alive and well, but I know probably not. So, but that's kind of that's us being hypocritical at box stores though. We're like, well, they're not telling you that this fish needs this, but
Yeah.
they got to take a customer's word to a point,
Yeah.
or how are they gonna make a sale? Like I don't know. It's a cruel world, I guess, if you think of it in that aspect. I just want to go back to it being my hobby.
Yeah, like, can I just breed fish? Can I just keep fish and
Right.
not think about the big stuff? Sometimes it's like that. Because, like, especially online nowadays, you say the wrong thing and all of a sudden you're, like, canceled or, like, crucified. Like, the stuff I was saying earlier about the filters, like, I completely dissed hang on the backs. But, like, you keep hang on the back filters. Like, I'm just glad you didn't, like, cuss me out. Because some people are like that.
No. Easier approach, printed info, or give YouTube channel to see info
Oh,
on.
yeah. That's another business idea I had, is like some sort of way to have printed informationals, but like I don't really want to talk about it a lot because someone might steal my idea, but like also it could be expensive. I feel like I could print some stuff like a species profile brochure or like a little card for like neon tetra or guppy or swordtail or whatever. And then if someone comes to the fish room and they want to buy fish, like I could say, hey, are you interested in this printed material? You know, it would save us time. I don't have to sit here for 40 minutes and tell you every single thing I know about the guppy fish. Um, like, I feel like that's a really good idea. Who said that about the printed?
Half Moon, I believe.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I thought about that a little bit. I'm not at that point yet, but like it's in my head. I have ideas in my head.
I'm thinking of that exactly.
Oh, that's messed up, Danny, that your boss.
Right.
Yeah, contradictory information. I mean, sometimes both are true. Sometimes contradictions are true. Let's keep this. Keep it.
You guys giving great information. I like a lot. Well, thank you. I just try to be real. Like, no matter the YouTube channel, subs, and all of that, just in the hobby, I try to be me. I try to be humble. I want to see the hobby grow. I genuinely like this hobby and everything around it. Not necessarily water changes and all the stuff that comes with it, but you know, it's all part of it. So I just want to see like a positive aspect. And just because you don't like hang on the backs, I don't, it ain't like I love them. They just, as you said, conveniently work for me in my situation right
Right.
now. Like, to each their own. Like, you never stop learning in this hobby. The day that happens, it won't, or it shouldn't, or you might as well just stop the hobby. I don't know, because like even as you mentioned a couple times, people like Dean, he even says that he still learns. You know, he's learning something new, and
Yeah,
he's like in his 50s and been doing this for 30 years. You know, so
there's some fish. I think he was talking about a pencil fish or some fish that he was having issues trying to get to breed. I know he has zebra plecos right now that he's growing out. Or did he have a successful spawn? There's still stuff that he's learning. Like maybe one day I'll try zebra plecos too, but like God, they're expensive. Yeah, it's like you said. That's a very valid point.
uh,
I spelled it wrong. I was trying to say someone
drop
put
a link.
my
Yeah.
link.
Somebody, one of the mods, put ADHD
Oh,
Aquatics link in the or in the chat, please. Thank you.
exotic pet decor on Facebook. Okay, exotic pet decor on Facebook. I gotta remember that. Someone text it to me. That reminds me, Facebook. I have a Facebook group called Crazy Fish Tank People. And if you guys like the informationals and stuff, whenever I find like a really cool PDF or like an ecology report or like a breeding article or something about a species, or like I did a bunch of studying on like the redworm parasite. I put those PDFs in the files. I think my files tab has like 40 PDFs. There's like species profiles, illnesses, plants, algae, like all informationals, like scientific, like words I can't even pronounce, like big brain stuff. If you guys like that sort of stuff.
Am I in your group?
I don't know. I don't really advertise it a lot. Like it's linked on my YouTube, but like I literally have a sticky note right here to remind me to like mention it on here because it's like, oh, whatever. If they like me, they'll stalk me, I guess, and like click on all my stuff. But like some people don't. You have to say like, hey, I have a thing.
Right. Push the button.
Yeah. Yeah, those were the two things I wanted to mention was my fish tank people group. It's more of like a hobbyist group. My business, like ADHD Aquatics, has a page, but like it's boring right now. It's like totally useless. And then the playlists on YouTube. So like I collect information. So like I was telling you about all my playlists, they're public. So if you guys want to learn about brine shrimp, I basically saved like 40 videos about brine shrimp on there. You can just hit play and learn everything about brine shrimp. That's how I do it. If I want to learn something, like, hey, I don't know anything about neon tetras. Where did they come from? How did they get into the hobby? Like everything. I will search neon tetra and I'll add like 100 videos to the playlist and I'll hit play and watch all of them. And if like a video is like poor quality or the person isn't like talking, it's just like words on the screen, that I can't really watch that because I sometimes I listen while I'm driving. So like, and then I'll go through and remove like the bad videos or like the videos that just are basically someone reading a Google search result, not like a very in-depth video. I'll take those away. And then I have like a finished playlist of like everything you need to know about a certain thing.
Garcia Aquatics said, where are you guys located? Just asking. I personally live in Indiana.
I'm in Utah.
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 I am at the end of this stream, I'm gonna get all of your information. I'm gonna have you message me all of your groups, all of your platforms, rather that be Insta, Twitter, whatever, I'm gonna get all of that stuff and it will be put in the description so anybody can find you, click on it, your YouTube link, all of that will be put in the description of this live stream.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
That's nice, thank you.
T-Bone, yeah, we still going. We just talking fish, man. I had a little bit of a scare earlier in the stream, and I had to let her kind of just go solo for a minute, popping in with a random question. But yeah, I only got a couple more. Probably will end it here soon. I'm just grateful to have you on. You're a great guest. You're easy to talk to. You were considerate of my situation. We've had a steady crowd of people, and
I know.
that's awesome. Thank you so very much. Like, truly.
Thank you for having me. I didn't think this was going to be as fun as it was. I thought it was going to be like awkward or like I wasn't like nervous, but like I wasn't nervous to mess up, but I was like, oh God, what if it's like cringy and awkward or something? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, no,
It's been like supernatural and like flowy and like just fish. So I like that. Thank you.
don't look at my very first live stream. That was awkward and cringy. Like,
But at least you put yourself out there and did it.
Right,
Like at least you took that step because this is cool now. Now you have a format for live streams. Like now this is what you do and you do it well. So
well, thank you. Yeah, it definitely was hard, and I'm kind of an introvert that likes to be outdoors, if that makes sense at all.
yeah,
And
that makes
I'm not
sense.
a people person, but diving into this hobby has kind of opened that up for me and made me. I'm not a social butterfly, but like I like people that like the same stuff as me. And the fish family is incredible. You dive into all these channels and chats and all the people in the community are like helpful and fun, and they're like your kind of people, and that like gives you a, I don't know, a high or a drive to keep
it like
going.
propels you and boosts you, motivates you.
Right. So, yeah, it's definitely been interesting for me too, but this is probably one of my best streams, I would have to say, minus my accident. I can never have a perfect stream, or it hasn't happened yet, but this
Well,
has been a real
perfect is boring, dude. Perfect's boring. If it was perfect, it wouldn't really be entertaining.
true. uh,
Jimmy P says, ask Em a question and she'll talk and talk and talk. LOL. She's great. Thank you, Jimmy P. Yeah, my brain, don't fire me up. I'll just keep going. I'll forget that I'm on a live stream and I'll just and just let it all out.
So, here's one last question in my list of questions. I really need to add to this thing, or I need to get away from this and just keep it inside of my head, which is kind of hard. But, what would you say has been your biggest challenge from the beginning till now? Like those breaking points, even that might have made you be like, I'm done. I just can't. And what, if so, what made you push forward past it and keep going?
I'll say that I haven't had a moment where I wanted to give up because the way I am, when I hyper focus, like because of the ADHD, I cannot be stopped. Like I cannot. So I haven't had a moment where I'm like, dang, this is just garbage. I hate it. I don't want to do it anymore. I haven't had that moment yet. Not even when I lost 75% of my fish twice. Um, but I will say a challenge was like in the beginning when I saw how apprehensive my husband was about some of my big plans. Like in my head, I'm like, yeah, we're gonna have a fish room and we're gonna do all this great crazy fish stuff and it's gonna be great. And my husband was like, we're fish people now. Oh no. So that was challenging for me because I obviously love my husband and want to respect him and I want to make a deal with him. I don't want him to feel like he's losing too many deals, but also like I know I cannot be stopped. And like I know sometimes I am out of control and can't stop myself from doing this.
Right, maybe he's just enough resistance. It just works out. Like he puts the brakes on a little bit, but
Yeah,
obviously you said you both are supporting of one another in it. So that's
he
so
brings me back to reality because without him, I probably would have already taken out a loan and just had all this stuff done in like 2 weeks because I still have to do the plumbing and the filtration and like he helps slow me down and be more realistic. But it is challenging for me to balance the way other people feel versus what I want to do because I care a lot about what other people think and say and feel, especially my husband, but like my friends and stuff. I had a friend that when she saw how many Betta fish I bought, she said, "This is starting to get irresponsible." And I took great offense to that. And I mean, she was right. They're living on the pool table now, but that hurt my feelings. So that's been challenging for me is finding a balance between reality and my amazing, incredible ideas and my wonderful drive to just keep going and going and going and going.
I think if you surround yourself with more people, like-minded people, it would be easier. Not to say that you need to cut your friends away or devalue their opinion.
Yeah.
Again, I think it's a balance. They need to meet you halfway in the thought at least. And I mean, they could even feel like, let my friends tell me, I only got a few of them, but let them tell me like, you're freaking dumb. I'm gonna say, you know what, I probably am, but I'm gonna enjoy it, and we're still gonna be friends. And if it breaks up a friendship, something's wrong. Now
Yeah.
obviously, if it's a significant other, there's finer lines that you should respect and whatever. But again, you're lucky to have your significant other that's cool with it. Like I said, my old lady's okay with it as long as she don't wake up tomorrow and every square foot is covered with a tank. I got my basement fish room. I'm allowed to spread a few around the house, but that's it.
That's good. Yeah.
So.
Just don't go overboard. As long as, yeah, like you said, a balance. And I can't tell if Stephen P. He said, "Wow, y'all still going." Lem with a solid attention span tonight. Is that solid? Is that a sarcasm, or is that like, good job, you're paying attention to stuff? Like, I can't tell. Because I forget. I forget if I got distracted. I don't know. I probably got distracted a couple times. Surround yourself with enablers. Yes, please join my fish group and enable me, because you never know what I'm going to do next.
And yeah, Stephen, we're just about to end it. Actually, I've been enjoying myself. She's been showing us a lot of cool stuff, and been fun to have on the stream. Like I just said, this is I'm gonna put it up there as my best stream probably so far.
What do you know? What to best stream? Stop.
Like the interaction. If you look at some of my others too, I had some poor internet connections for some of them, and don't get me wrong, I've even got people to come back on my stream and like try to do a better setting, but like my internet surprisingly has been going great. It's been great, fluent conversation. As you said, not awkward. It's just a question and answer, a question, oh, look at this. It's been continuous, whereas some of my others might have some hesitation spots or get a little off track or off topic. So just overall is what I mean. Like, you're a great guest. It's been a good night, good internet connection. We've had a room full of people. It's fluctuated from 10 to 16. I think at one point we had like 19, but on average, and that's great. That's probably one of my best streams as far as people in the chat talking and just viewing or whatever, hanging out. So they probably didn't come for me. They came for you.
Well, thank you. That stuff's like super flattering. Thank you. What's crazy is you mentioned the internet, and like my house is like long. So my house isn't like a square. It's like real long, and literally the router is over here and I'm in the basement and over here, and I don't think I've noticed any internet issues, which is a blessing. So that was good.
Steven,
And there's something else I'm going to say, I forget. Go ahead.
Steven said, no, you're still talking about fish this entire stream. That's solid attention span. If you ever seen one of my streams, the topics go in every direction.
Okay, Steven, I almost wanted to mention cats once, but I stopped myself because I watch a live streamer and sometimes he goes off about dogs, and I love dogs, but I don't keep dogs, and I'm not like a dog like fanatic. Like, I'm not insane about dogs. I'm insane about cats. So I watch his stream and I'm there for fish. And when he goes off about dogs, I'm kind of like, can we fast forward? I want to talk about the fish. So I had one urge to talk about cats once, and it was to reference Jimmy P's live stream earlier. He said something about neutering and spaying like the wild cats, and I don't know why I wanted to bring it up, but I specifically remember fighting the urge, and I was like proud of myself in my head, like, yes, you're doing a good job, you're talking about fish.
High five.
High five. Yeah, that's good.
No, yeah, sometimes mine go a little random. I got dogs and I got a cat, and they're adorable as crap, and they're also butt heads. But yeah, that's another thing too. The stream has been steady talk about fish. I've done well not to cuss. I think I let one slip earlier during the whole panic, and I hope that your niece did not hear it. I apologize if she did. It probably was like a dang, but not dang. But yeah, so I mean, it was just a great stream. I'd love to have you come back on. maybe later on down the road you have a new project or a new something that you just want to show, or I'd like to be a guest on your stream. I don't know if you do streams yet or.
Oh yeah, I want to do streams. I'm still trying to figure that out. I have a big secret surprise for my streaming setup. It's gonna be insane, and you guys are gonna be surprised. I don't want to spoil it because I don't want anyone to take my idea, but that's a couple months from now. I got to get the water change system up and running, and then I'm gonna focus the budget on like this crazy streaming idea I have. So you'll see if you follow along.
Yeah, I'm subscribed.
Okay. Well, that's it then. It's over, huh?
Yeah, I reckon we've been going for almost 3 hours.
Okay, let me show Rockstar one more time and then I'll say goodbye.
Oh,
That's for my little niece. That's Rockstar.
it's a pretty Betta.
That's it, you guys.
Like I said, once I end this stream, I think it might leave us still in the chat, so we might be able to talk for a minute. But I just need you to message me all of your information so that I can put it in the description.
Okay. Yeah, as soon as we hang up, I'll just copy and paste you all my links.
All right. Everybody, thank you so very much for attending Casual Aquatics stream. Thank you for watching Emily and taking the time to show us all of her tanks and stuff. If you're not subscribed, please go check out her channel, subscribe. If not, at least watch a few videos for her and smash a like button or two. It's been real fun, y'all, and I hope the next stream is just as fun. Thank you very much, and everybody have a good night.
Bye, you guys. See you next time. Bye.